Croeso I sianel Blaid Llwyd. Once more, it's time to go far beyond the world. I know a lot of you have been waiting for this update, so let's get on with it. To my surprise, no nightmares follow. I half expected the whispers to be rubbing this in my face. Instead, I wake up shivering to a chilly, harsh morning, and the sun doesn't shine. How fitting. After our grim exchange the previous night, the grey skies above reflect my mood perfectly. Although we're hidden deep inside a thicket, shielded by the woodland canopy, I can see in the distant clearing droplets cascading down and splattering against the dirt. It's raining. It seems the last leg of our journey will be the most arduous, both on account of our soured moods, but also the very unpleasant weather. It's much colder than any other day so far. I assume it's because we're at the forest's edge. Verissa did say that Tiernan had its own microclimate, and now I get to experience it firsthand with the world at large firmly in the grips of winter winds. I left your breakfast by the fire. The wolf pokes his head inside the tent, most likely hearing me stirring up from my sleep. His expression is appropriately solemn. I don't care for it one bit. I throw my gaze away, letting him know that we're not on talking terms anymore, and the wolf leaves. I have half hoped he'd run off into the night, leaving me here to die alone. He might as well have, as nothing makes sense now. What am I even supposed to do? How am I to survive in this foreign world alone? I'm so embarrassed, looking at the now crusty covers marked by his release, and the anger stirs up inside me again. Just a plaything. Exactly. I got him off and he fucking dropped such a bombshell and bolts. Who the fuck does he think he is? Use without remorse. Yes, he did use me. That fucker. No, wait. No. Fuck. I slam my fist into the bedding. Again, my emotions are running riot, and that damn thing tries to ramp them up. Not even allowed to process this mess on my own. But no, I won't play into my anger. He didn't use me. I wanted it. In fact, he's reluctant. We both gave in to our carnal desires. That's no one's fault. But he had a decision that was made for me, one that very much affects my entire life moving forward, and I wasn't even consulted. He duped me. Like an unwanted pup, I was lulled into a false sense of love and security, just to be led away on a leash and left in the hands of a complete stranger. If he thinks I'll be begging for him to take me back, he's got another thing coming. Both you and him can suck it. I'm done being played. Begrudgingly, I remove the covers and get ready. Once my cloak is secured and I'm somewhat shielded from the elements, I step outside and walk up to the still sizzling pan. Bacon and eggs with a slice of fire-roasted bread. It was good enough for our first breakfast. Might as well be our last. I sit down and grab a fork, poking at the eggs with suspicion. Don't remember us bringing those. I found a pheasant nest. The wolf butts in, clearly noticing me toying with the food. My expression betrays an obvious concern at this apparent egg napping. Oh, don't worry. I've only taken half of them. It gives a better chance for the rest of the brood. He shakes his head, but I still look at the pan unconvinced, drawing an exasperated sigh from the male. Believe me or not, but pheasants lay around 10 to 12 eggs. Once they hatch, it's just a game of numbers. Rarely more than 3 chicks survive. This way, the mother will have fewer mouths to feed and will be able to care for them better. As always, he finds an answer for everything to do with forestry. I might be angry with him, but I shouldn't put his life's work and education into question, so I decide to shrug it off and dig in. As always, the breakfast is delicious, and despite my bitterness, it's a pretty welcome start this otherwise gloomy day. I can't really tell the difference between the pheasant eggs and regular ones. They taste the same to me. The only thing turning my stomach is the fact that it's filled with his jizz, and the running yolk constantly reminds me of that. I hate that he made me breakfast, again going out of his way and foraging so early in the morning. Why does he always have to do this? Be thoughtful and so extra, even when he's in the proverbial doghouse. It makes being angry with him this much harder and upsetting, almost as if I'm the bad guy here. I finish the food in silence, wiping away stray droplets that make past the leafy rooftop above, while the wolf begins to pull up our camp. Despite our fight, I decide to aid him. I might be seething on the inside, but how being petty would help this situation? Besides, I want to get to the city as soon as possible. Spending another night out here together would have been a nightmare. Once everything's folded and packed, we get on the way. Miles add up one by one, with Ranok trying to casually start an idle conversation every now and then, but I simply shut them all down with cold glances. I don't want small talk. I think we're past that. Scattered splotches of drizzle reaching the road from up above make me realise we're approaching the edge of Tiernan. The tree line is slowly thinning, and there's an apparent brightness of open space ahead of us. When within an hour we finally reach the opening, I stop and gasp. The forest just ends abruptly, forming an arched entryway made up of the canopy linking above. I look back to the sylvan road, cutting into the woods like a tunnel, seeming almost like an entry to the secret garden. In front of us there is a rolling landscape dotted with fields, pastures and border greenery separating them. It's oh so enchanting and open. The vast openness is what speaks to me the most. There's a sense of freedom, but also a free fall as I gaze into the distance. Never did I realise how constrained everything seems within a forest. You cannot see the horizon, so everything feels local and compact. This is like looking down a deep well, where you don't see the bottom. It's exciting. I take a deep, greedy breath of this newfound sense of freedom, resting my hand on a mossy, carved stone at the roadside, much different from the milestones we've passed so far. Only now I actually pay it any mind. It's a stele, intricately decorated with knotted patterns and stylized wolves and moons. There's a partially faded inscription in the middle, but doesn't prove too hard to read. Here begins the ancient realm of Tiernan, safe from trespass since times immemorial, and the Wolven tribes keep it. Enter at own peril. Well, that's inviting. I mutter under my breath, the first words spoken by me right since yesterday. At first the wolf's taken aback, but quickly decides to not make much of a deal of it and shrugs. Well, it's a border stone. That's exactly what it's supposed to. Warn strangers of consequence. Strangers like me. My voice is cold and sharp as the morning itself, but Ranok clearly has no patience for it. Look, I really don't want to argue. You know why you cannot remain. Yep, the stone is making it quite clear. You're acting like a pup. It's not only your life on the line. He sneers and I open my eyes in shock as the wolf storms off. So that's how it is. To him I'm just a liability. You think you are strong, and perhaps you are. I say, sluggishly following him down the road and grabbing his reluctant attention. You're certainly stronger than I am, or anyone I've met in the village for that matter. But strength alone can only take you so far. No one's ever an island. Think of me what you must. Already left one loved one huddled in the dirt. I'm about to do that to another. You cannot hate me more than I already hate myself twice over. He gives me a side glance for a brief moment, his green, trembling eye drilling into me. He quickly shakes his head and speeds up the tempo. There really isn't much sense in us talking anymore. What else is there to say? He's made up his mind, and I have no cards to play. I give Tiernan one last heavy look laden with the troubling fact that the mighty sea of trees will fade away forever with each new step I take. I'm not just torn away from the only place I know, or can even remotely call home. I also was denied the right to say proper goodbyes. Marissa got one, as I think she was in on this whole chagrin, judging by her odd behaviour. But Vul? Trist? Even Cora? On their account I'm distraught, and it makes this ordeal that much harder to forgive. Don't even know if they would care that I'm gone. I'm truly lost. Our uneasy journey continues in this lacklustre downpour. It neither rains nor it's dry. It's very humid and one gets soaked trudging through it all, almost as if water was suspended in the air. I try to distract myself from all this misery, but it gets harder with each passing hour. I'm exhausted. Even without this emotional strain, the journey itself would have taken a toll on me. I'm tired, uncomfortable, sad, and angry. I feel that my emotions are slowly boiling up to a breaking point, when the whispers at the back of my mind I don't want to lose control of my tongue. To distract myself, I simply turn towards the scenery, trying to take in the surroundings. It's a very depressing sight. Even without the rain and the overcast, it would have been gloomy. This land is impoverished, with spare farmsteads not differing much from the woven hovels. The fences are not mended, and some rooftops have clearly missing patches of thatching, or other houses look outright abandoned. It's a sorry scene indeed, with barely a living soul in sight. Not at all what I expected the mighty land of tigers to look like. I resigned myself to our solitary march, deciding there's not much joy or encouragement to draw from sightseeing. That's when we're both startled by a sudden voice coming up from behind one of the stone walls flanking the road.
By the light's grace, it's the humans I live and breathe. Oi, young fella, come here just a moment.
A stocky yet tired-looking farmer waves at us, emerging from behind the wall. He's been doing some weed control, judging by his earth-stained clothing and a rusty sickle covered in sticky greenery.
Ignore him.
Why? I shrug, approaching the still-waving tiger. I'm not going to pass on my first interaction with an outsider. Besides, I'm mighty curious how my language-hopping skill will play out.
Sam.
Considering you're about to abandon me here, your opinion doesn't matter much anymore. I state bluntly and approach the farmer.
Hello there, curious company you have.
Indeed. I cast my reluctant gaze towards the wolf.
You look quite weary here. You've travelled far?
About 70 miles, give or take.
70 miles? My, that's quite a journey you had.
It wasn't all that bad, but this weather makes it less agreeable. The tiger chuckles softly and nods.
I bet it does. Seems to me you're in dire need of some refreshments.
He rubs his chin.
I have cool milk and some cheese and jerky in a larder. Well, I'm happy to share. If you'd like, there's also a bottle of old port I've opened but a day ago.
That sounds lovely, actually.
No time.
Ranok utters harsh as he joins us. The farmer pays him no mind.
Of course there's time. The boy's exhausted, can't you see? Carrying your load, no less.
I shiver at the unfortunate choice of words when my attention is drawn to Ranok's suddenly clunky speech.
Strandbard. Must be today.
You won't reach the city until the 8th hour, but then everyone there gets mad like a bag of bees.
The rounded male laughs, shaking his head and pulling on his jacket.
Oh, no. It's much better for you to rest up and get there by evening. Come.
He doesn't relent, bidding us to walk towards the gate, which he opens invitingly. I, for one, am inclined to follow, as I'm still stewing over our morning exchange. Besides, I wanted to meet another otherkin ever since I woke up. Talking tigers, indeed. And on the subject of talking, he seems he can understand me perfectly. Do you live here alone? I ask as I follow the male towards his humble-looking cottage. In all respects, it looks very much like Ranok's house, which, to my annoyance, makes me incredibly homesick and sad. I won't get to see it ever again.
I know, usually my wife and my daughter keep me company, but they're away now visiting with their grandmother a village over.
The male chatters on, opening the door and guiding me inside with a swish of his paw. It's hard to pay attention to what he's saying with my constantly shifting mood, but I'm pulled back into the conversation by his last words.
She's taken ill. Most likely it'll be her last spring. They're saying goodbyes.
Shouldn't you be there with them?
And who would look after my herd? Well, sheep and cattle going missing every night.
Missing?
Thieves and ruffians, most likely. I've been lucky thus far, but some of my neighbours lost as much as half of their livestock. The city guards supposedly do what they can. It's not like the rich folk in their fancy houses worry about us peons out here.
He scoffs dismissively, gesturing towards the table.
Please, sit. My home is your home. But yes, I'm needed here. Besides, we have never seen eye to eye, she and I. Better she goes in peace than be forced to endure my sight. So, what will it be? A cool milk or mulled wine?
I smile, both his blunt words and anxious rubbing of his paws. He seems genuinely happy to have guests, so I decide to relax and sate my curiosity. Mulled?
Boiled with spice and herbs. It'll warm you up on this chilly morning in a flash.
That sounds quite lovely, if it wouldn't be too much trouble.
Oh, no trouble at all, if I get to wet my whiskers as well.
He laughs and walks over to a large brick stove. There's a fire going deep inside its bellows, with 2 pots bopping in a merry rhythm with the boiling contents.
Make yourself comfortable. Furniture ain't much, but I've never been an artisan.
He mutters as he fills a pot with wine and sets it on one of the metal rings. I look down to the bench on which we're seated. It's simple, true, but comfortable.
Function's always better than pretty, I say. Pretty things tend not to last long.
You've made them yourself?
Indeed. Why waste money on some overpriced city ponds when I can cut wood just as well?
I smile, noticing Ranok tracing his paw across the armrest, clearly admiring the craftsmanship, while the tiger rummages through his cupboards. Gentle flickers of the wolf's tail tell me he's quite pleased with another man's work. I'm almost taken in by it. Almost. It doesn't take me long to remind myself that I am angry with him. Before I get to sour my mood again, the farmer plops a wooden plate in front of us, filled with some smoked meats and cheeses.
Here you go. Eat up while I get the wine ready.
Oh, thank you. I nod, idly picking at the food as to not to appear ungrateful. The food is nice, but I'm not very hungry, both on account of a filling breakfast and the fact that my stomach is now tied in knots. The manners are lost on Ranok, however, who simply looks around in complete disinterest.
I've noticed the collar, dear boy. I hope you're not in any trouble. I know what those mean.
He says softly, taking advantage of Ranok's distracted state. No trouble at all. I shake my head. I've gotten so used to it I keep forgetting about the damn thing. I really don't need a scene caused by a well-meaning person trying to rescue me. In fact, I'm being escorted to the city.
Oh, kind of you, master. One rarely sees a wolf releasing a slave, let alone escort him.
The male whispers under his breath and returns to the counter. I'm not a slave.
Oh, glad to hear it, boy. But how did you end up with that collar, then?
It was a gift. I sigh, and again my mood is taking a turn for the worse. I wear it as a sign of appreciation, but truth be told, I might as well take it off.
You better. Doesn't send the right signal around these parts.
He nods, returning to the stove and tinkering with various little boxes. For a moment I consider his advice, but I don't think I'm emotionally strong enough to part with the collar just yet. I grew too attached to it. I simply rest my chin against my hands and wait till the cottage fills with the cosy smell, very reminiscent of Christmas. Must be all the spices and herbs he's mixing in.
Does he speak Tigeri, or is he purposely rude?
The farmer bobs his head towards Ranok, whose gaze is glued into the window and the world beyond. It's very obvious that the wolf would rather be out there than here. As he doesn't respond, I finally elbow him, drawing a reaction from the male.
No, me speak.
He mutters reluctantly.
Little to talk.
His broken speech leaves no doubt we've all switched to Tagari. My confusion mirrors that of the farmer.
That must be a struggle.
The male shrugs and decides to let the wolf be, returning his attention to me.
So, how did one of our own end up in the custody of a wolf?
I was ambushed in the woods and left there to die.
Oh my, what has the world come to?
He frowns, stopping his stirring for a moment and facing me with a worried expression. I don't remember much of it, but this wolf saved my life.
Now that is a story one doesn't often hear. A wolf saving a life instead of taking it.
Wolves, not killers.
Ranok's ears fall flat as he gives the tiger a challenging stare. It's evident that he pays attention to the conversation, despite appearing disinterested. The farmer just scratches his head in feigned confusion.
Aren't they? Oh, pardon me then. It just seems an impression they so tirelessly try to give. Your kind is neither farmers nor herders. You don't live off the land, you live off others. And that hardly comes by without violence.
He says in a stern voice, and I can see Ranok's body tensing up. I place my hand on his hip, letting him know that I really don't want a scene. We're guests here, after all. Thankfully, the tiger simply says his piece and moves on, bringing over the boiling pot to the table.
Either way, what's done is done.
He pours a generous share into a large mug and pushes it over to me.
Here you are.
The tiger smiles, continuing to distribute drinks while I take hold of the warm mug. It feels nice to have the heat seep into my skin through the clay. But the smell... oh, it's near intoxicating. I take an impatient sip and my tongue is hit by a symphony of flavours I haven't felt in... well, ever. The wine is fruitier than a regular one, and somehow sweet and tart at the same time. Almost as if someone melted a berry-flavoured lollipop. I moan, taking the experience in with satisfaction. The herbs and spices push the whole thing over the edge, delivering the pleasant warming sensation radiating down my throat.
Thanks, but no drink.
The wolf refuses, either suspicious of the fragrant beverage, or simply in protest against the previous words of our host. Are you sure? It's delicious.
I'll leave it in case you change your mind. If not, more for me and the wee lad.
I wouldn't mind seconds. I gasp between greedy mouthfuls. It's absolutely wonderful. Whatever you did to it, it worked like a charm. I feel warm inside already.
See, what did I tell you?
The tiger laughs, taking a celebratory sip from his own cup. But seeing Ranok just sitting there, he gently nudges the third one towards him.
How about you, warrior? You sure you don't want to give it a try? I doubt you have much spice laying around in those woods.
Ranok just gives him a telling fuck-off stare. I feel slightly sorry I brought it onto this extremely hospitable tiger. But to my relief, the farmer is taking it in stride and simply shrugs.
He seems to be a broody type, doesn't he? And again, wolves are known for their dislike of us.
I don't think it's that, sir. I find the cider pitch in, the delicious wine quickly restoring my more generous mood. Please don't take it personally. Ranok is many things, but a bigot is not one of them.
Oh?
I nod affirmingly.
Well, that's a testimonial any kin would be proud to wear on their sleeve. If only he made it believable.
The tiger responds with clear doubt, and I can't blame him. I also can't blame Ranok. Today is just not a good day for either of us, and the strain of being exposed like this is apparent on the wolf's pleading muzzle.
Leave, please.
No, I need a break. I need someone's company. I respond, looking at him with a slightly apologetic gaze. It's our last few days together. I don't want to say something to you I might regret. The tiger is the only thing ensuring I can be civil about this.
Sam.
He nearly whimpers, but I notice a somewhat confused, borderline shocked expression from the tiger, which indicates I've just spoken Wolven in front of him. I don't want to disrespect our host like this. I shake my head, finally facing the tiger. Please forgive me, sir.
No, not at all. Oh, quite interesting to see another kin wield a wolven tongue like that.
He still struggles to get rid of his puzzled expression and rubs his chin awkwardly.
I'm sorry if I'm a bit spellbound, but as you can imagine, not much happens on this road. Well, nothing good at least. You and that wolf are close, I take it?
Yes. I replied reluctantly, as the last question felt awfully loaded.
Please don't take my forwardness as an insult, but one does not live on this good old earth as long as I do without picking up a thing or two. There seems to be some tension here.
Yes, we're having a disagreement.
Oh?
I shuffled slightly in my seat, unnerved by his intense stare, but at the same time it would feel good to talk it out with someone, even if it means venting out just the gist of things. He's made a promise he now refuses to keep.
My, promises are serious things.
The farmer muses, taking a prolonged slurp and giving a curious glance to the wolf.
Especially between friends. I take it that's what you are?
Ranok meets his gaze and nods, clearly aware of the conversation.
Listen to me, Wolf. Kin come in all shapes and sizes. They always stick to their own.
He says in a rather harsh tone, preceded by a kinder look in my direction.
Bridging the natural chasm takes a soul that soars above all other, for it sees beyond what's temporal. If light blessed you and crossed your path with such a spirit, you do not let go so easily. For they are 1 in a million.
You seem to be one of them yourself. I smiled gently, returning the compliment between the sips of the mulled wine.
Maybe. That wasn't always the case.
The tiger shrugs.
I used to be wary of strangers, be they otherkin or tiger. In fact, if you saw a tiger in these parts who wasn't local, you could be sure he's either an imperial agent looking to tax you, or a noble bored out of his wits chasing adventure.
The male scoffs into the distance. Only 2 certain things in life, death and taxes.
Well spoken, my lad, well spoken indeed.
He laughs at my quip. I decide to entertain this shifting conversation. It's a good distraction from my current predicament. I can understand the drive to seek adventure too. It's nice to shake up one's life.
Perhaps, but nobles don't shake up theirs. Usually it's us wee folk who end up shaken, either for gold or left with a burning scar to mend over the following decades.
The farmer's tone of voice takes an unexpectedly somber turn. What do you mean?
I wasn't born yet. It wasn't too long ago for us to forget. A bored noble encroached on the Wolven territory, committed some foolishness, and that resulted in a war.
The tiger sighs heavily and swaps places with Ranok, him looking wearily into the world beyond the window, my wolf finally looking indoors towards us.
That war engulfed everything all the way to Strandbard. Burnt farms, killed livestock, countless lives lost.
But the tigers won the war.
Did we? Didn't feel much like winning. Not to us wee folk, at least.
He scoffs yet again.
This land is desolate and barren. Hundreds of families slaughtered or fled, never to return. They might call it the Heartland, but in truth it became a wasteland. Nobles are fine, of course.
He jeers, taking a long spiteful swig of his cup.
Every tree to this stone keeps and palaces, never to be touched. Yes, my friend, adventures might be fine for the folk bored of living. Us, we just want to live, and life thrives best in peace and quiet.
You lost someone?
Ranok asks, taking me by surprise. His gaze turns soft as he looks at the tiger with intent, almost as if he read his troubled mind. I didn't realize he was listening.
My grandfather and his brother died defending their home long enough for my grandma to flee with my infant father. There isn't a farmstead in a 50-mile radius that didn't lose someone.
Me sorry.
Deep sorry. Ranok utters with a gentle voice, and at first the tiger is taken aback. Then he laughs.
May the light have mercy. What a day.
He shakes his head in amusement.
I hear an apology from the lips of a wolf. A light does work in mysterious ways, it truly does.
The farmer rubs off a tear from the corner of his eyes.
And so it falls onto me to offer the same. I'm truly sorry for your losses. I know what the battle mage has done to your forest and the price you paid your defiance. All because some damn fool poked his nose where it didn't belong. May the great dark swallow his soul.
I drink to that.
Ranok smiles softly and takes up his cup, drinking it merrily with the tiger. I'm not sure I'm surprised by the most. The fact that those two, at first glance stark contrasting characters, found a common ground, or that the story I've heard from the first night is more nuanced than I originally thought. It wasn't just wolves versus tigers at all. Within the tribe itself, there's a rift between generations caused by a shift of values. And here, in the wider world, that rift exists between social classes. Some things never change. Old people grow older and more stubborn, while rich get richer and increasingly detached from those beneath them. Thank you for your hospitality and an open heart. I might have looked into the tiger with genuine awe. Come to think of it, this simple gesture might actually cost him quite a bit. This spread could as well be his lunch he decided to share with us. The spice and herbs could be a luxury he spent months or years saving up for.
It's the least I could do. This world was born out of darkness, and one day it'll plunge right back into it. Our duty is to keep it bright for as long as there's breath in our bodies. To be the flickering flame that chases away the shadows.
I smile. He's very religious, that's evident. A follower of the light Ranok likes to mock so much. But in all honesty, I don't see anything silly here. Just a generous soul with a rather realistic, if not bleak, outlook for the world around them. How could he be any different when his life is full of hardship? Indeed, the least we can do is help those in need. I find myself agreeing with the man. If only the whole world worked like that. I add with slight resignation in my voice, which Ranok begins rummaging in his purse. He pulls out a small coin and places it on the table, as one would do at a bar.
Here, for thanks.
He says in a rather confident tone. Both the farmer and I look at the money with confusion.
Silver claw? Oh, no, that's way too much. I did not invite strangers into my house to shake them down for coin.
The tiger, although at first surprised, quickly becomes offended.
This money be good. Daughter to care. Sad wife from death.
The wolf tries to convince him as best he can, and despite his crude words, the tiger considers this for a moment before returning to fervently shaking his head.
Oh, no. This is a good fortnight of hard labour. I couldn't just take it. I couldn't justify it. The port was only 12 copper, 25 if you count all spice that went into it.
Good. We refill bag, if any left.
Ranok pats his wineskin and approaches the cupboard where the bottle stands. The farmer gets to his feet and frantically argues with the wolf, who slowly uncorks the bag.
That's still too much. Perhaps if you were to break it?
No small, sorry.
Ranok shrugs and begins to carefully refill the wineskin. It's really fine, sir. Perhaps on his way back you could host him again and thus even the scale? I pitch in, drawing the gentle swing of Ranok's tail. The farmer thinks about it for a moment, poking his chin, and he then reluctantly nods.
Yes, that could work. I can also offer some to the priest for prayer, so that the light keep you in its grace.
Money yours now. Do as must, but light not living.
The wolf says calmly, licking his palm clean of spillage, as some wine trickled from the seal between the bottleneck and the leather bag.
Light no eat, no drink. It need no money. It waste.
Same can be said for your moon goddess.
The tiger scoffs in part amusement and annoyance, to which Ranok chuckles.
I know. That why she not ask for money.
Okay, let's not get distracted here. I laugh at their petty exchange. It's a good deed Ranok has done. I'm sure you'll be able to make wise use of the money, according to your needs and beliefs. I propose a compromise. They both look at me for a second before reluctantly nodding in agreement. Once the last drop of wine is transferred to the skin, Ranok plugs it and hangs it securely from his belt.
There. We go now.
He nods towards the door, and decide that perhaps his visit has gone as long as it should. I hastily empty the mug, stuffing my face with the last bite of mild cheese before rushing to his side. The wine radiates from my belly like a small ember, shielding me slightly against the cold and still rainy world. Again, thank you very much for the hospitality.
Oh, not at all. Thank you for blessing my house with your presence.
Blessing? I blink confused, looking to Ranok for an explanation.
Tiger custom. Guest is blessing.
He says crudely. I turn towards the farmer as he leads us to the gate.
That's because we believe light is in each and one of us. Inviting a stranger into your home is like inviting the light itself. If you make a dimmed candle shine brighter, you've done the world a service.
I mean, I guess I can see that.
Be nice to guest is good until guest kills you and takes your gold.
Ranok blurts out. I look at him wide-eyed, and even more shocked by the tiger bursting out in laughter. He pats the wolf on the shoulder.
That may be true if you live in a palace with spare gold to be taken. Caution is not exclusive with generosity, my friend. If someone came to rob and kill me, it wasn't for the gold or my generosity. It was because they saw us struggling downtrodden and wanted to snuff out that flickering flame to begin with.
That's awfully morbid.
And true, some people live only to see this world burn.
The male finally loses a sense of levity and speaks more seriously.
A farmer like me, living in this remote, forsaken part of Avalon, is no target for desperate thieves. No, if I die, I'll die because I crossed paths with a wicked soul. And then a lack of invitation won't save this old cat from being cut down to size.
I shudder at the comment, but to my surprise, Ranok smiles.
Stay safe, tiger friend. I see you on way back. Should be 2 nights.
I look forward to our meeting, Master Wolf. And I hope you'll enjoy your stay in Strandbard. It's no Freyron nor Tageron for that matter, but to us small folk it's grand enough.
I'm sure I'll enjoy it as much as I can. I say with an evident lack of enthusiasm, so I'm reminded yet again that I'm heading there only to be abandoned. With our goodbyes exchanged, we're back on the road. Though we cover the first mile or so in relative silence, I can feel that part of the prior tension between us was alleviated. And I, for one, am glad for it, even though I still hold on to some resentment.
Your Tigeri seems excellent.
The wolf states plainly, not even looking in my direction.
Not that it surprises me. I knew you were one of them.
If you say so. I shrug, not willing to entertain this topic again. I'm quite done with people telling me who I am or what I'm supposed to be. Besides, this language hopping is so confusing I have no patience for it right now. Now my mind is more preoccupied with what's to come. I'm not looking forward to it. The hours go by with the sun continuing its shallow arch across the gloomy sky. For the most part, Ranok gives me space, as he should. It only worsens my mood. I guess his attention's divided between me and the water soaking his fur. He made it clear he doesn't enjoy the rain, and I can now see why. The sky's been drenching us for a while now, and despite water gliding off my skin, the cloths I wear became heavy and waterlogged. I can only imagine the extra weight he carries within his fur. With a deflated posture and tail tucked close to his gambeson, he's indeed in a sorry state. My heart craves to strike a conversation. My mind prevails and I hold my peace. And so does he. With my emotional struggle between anger and sadness, talking could quickly devolve into another argument, and that's the last thing I want. I simply admire the scenery, the farmland growing lusher and denser, with more elaborate houses dotting the fields the closer we get to Strandbard. Once we clear one of the many rolling hills descending from the heights of Tiernan, we can see the city in the distance, nestled comfortably within a small valley. It's very compact, with houses tightly huddled within modest stone walls. But it doesn't stop the city from looking mighty impressive. Wow. I was both surprised and pretty much expected at the same time. I voiced my thoughts. Not sure why I'm taken aback by a perfect example of a medieval town. Guess it's still the reality of it all slowly sinking in. This world is real, no matter what the voices try to convince me of. It's real and vibrant and buzzing with life. Even from this small hill I can see people crowding the main streets like ants, all chasing after their designated tasks of the day. Why is it called Strandbard?
It's because there's Strandbard Inn.
The wolf states matter-of-factly.
During the Targaryen rebellion, 3 battles took place in this area, with different armies marching up and down.
He points into the distant hills. His tail flicks softly, betraying happiness at this temporary accord between us.
Not wanting to be caught in all the fighting, a bard stayed with a local farmer while the war raged on around them. To pay his way, he performed, drawing crowds from the local war-stricken villages. In the end, he stayed here for a decade and the farmer opened an inn.
The Stranded Bard. I smile at the realization.
It's right there, see? That long roof with 3 dormers.
He points to a huge structure on the left-hand side of the city. Yeah.
A village quickly grew around it. Not long after that, the village turned into a city. To this day, the citizens of Strandbard pride themselves in sheltering refugees from far and...
I get it. I grumble in annoyance, feeling a clumsy pitching come in. I don't want to be sold on a place I have no part in choosing. But instead of spiralling into another argument, I decide to take a deep breath and look to the sky. Judging by the setting sun, the darkness creeping on the opposite side of the horizon, it's very close to 5 p.m. What hour would you say it is?
A late one, that's for sure.
The wolf responds stiffly, clearly unhappy with how delayed our arrival has gotten. Well, true, but more specifically?
I'd say 9th, maybe 10th. Pretty much any official business will have to wait till tomorrow.
How does the count work exactly? He looks at me with slight surprise, but quickly shrugs it off. I guess he's used by now to my amnesia leaving me entirely clueless for even the most obvious of things.
You count the hours from the sunrise. The first hour starts at the break of dawn.
Ranok says in that unintentionally condescending tone, I nod in hesitant gratitude. The sunrise was probably around 7, which would mean that's indeed 5 p.m. Huh. I'm getting quite good at this. I guess the lack of clocks isn't something as jarring as I initially thought. One gets used to the natural rhythm of things dictated by the world around them, rather than some artificial gizmo. I put on the backpack strap, readjusting it slightly, and we get on the move again. It doesn't take long to cover the distance between us and the gate, which grew nearer and nearer with each step. I smile at the sound of a milling wheel gently treading water next to the bridge. At first I thought it was a moat surrounding the city, but it seems to be an actual brook. The brook itself is wide enough to warrant a double-arched bridge, providing a natural barrier on the city's western side. Thus, a single watchtower overlooking the crossing is all that's needed to ensure safety.
Who goes there?
A Targaryen guard steps forward and blocks the gate. He's young but stern-looking, clad in chainmail armour.
You declare yourself.
We pass. Stay at inn.
Ranok responds casually, causing the soldier to narrow his brows.
You're not one of our locals, are you? And what's he supposed to be?
Livestock brought to be sold at the market.
Very funny. Now beat it. We don't need jesters.
He sneers, causing Ranok to straighten up in a more challenging stance.
We enter.
No, you do not. I'd have to be insane to let a fully armed overgrown mongrel like you enter our peaceful city. Take your bedwarm and go back to wherever wooden hovel you crawled out of.
Ranok. I put a hand on the wolf's shoulder, trying to calm him down before things needlessly escalate. As much as I enjoy watching him eat a healthy serving of humble pie, I'm soaked and cold, and I'd very much rather spend the night in a cosy tavern than a damp dungeon cell. There's no need for insults, sir.
Oh, now you learn some manners? So last time, state your business or get lost.
No business with you. I meet Chief.
Ranok issues a soft growl and the guard scoffs.
Yeah, that'll be the day. Now beat it. I've no time to wait on the likes of you.
We enter.
Only over my dead body. Draw that sword and make my day.
He barks out, posturing with his spear aimed directly at us. I'm half worried an actual fight might erupt. Those fears are quickly dismissed when another soldier emerges from the gate.
What's the meaning of this, Private?
He speaks in a calm, collected manner, and judging by his words and much more elaborate armour, he's a superior.
Captain, sir, I tried to send away this riffraff. They persist despite my warnings.
I'll handle this. State your business, strangers, and make it brief. The captain's words are just as harsh as his inquisitive glances. I looked at Ranok with worry. The wolf has settled, clearly coping better with someone in authority.
We enter. Meeting with Tiger Chief.
You don't speak the language, I see. Doesn't fill me with confidence you're one of our own.
What's that supposed to mean? I blurt out, caught off guard by the comment, and the captain gives me a grim look.
Our wolves speak Tigeri.
I'm not sure what you do mean by your wolves, good sir, but I can assure you that we've just come from Tiernan, and there very few speak your tongue. I state plainly, try not to be intimidated, which causes the tiger to take a second look at me in my attire. The dress finally came in handy, and he turns to his subordinate in confusion.
There's no riffraff. Are you both blind and deaf? Can't you hear the way he speaks?
He stifles an annoyed growl and looks back to me with a much-changed expression. It's soft and almost deferential.
Forgive me, my lord.
My men might be strict, but we were given orders to be wary of strangers travelling on the Western Road. I noticed an aggravating smirk on Ranok's muzzle. After all, the tiger thinks I'm a noble.
Oh, how come?
There's been rumours of strange individuals roaming the countryside. Many fear the wolven spies, which I hope explains our slight suspicion of your companion. The captain gives Ranok another, this time more careful and courteous look, and to spare any of his doubt, I decide to take over the exchange. Ranok's language barrier doesn't exactly help our cause here. We have a letter of introduction penned by the chief of Tiernan himself. Would a spy present himself with such a document?
Stranger things have happened in the last months, my friend.
The tiger sighs, nodding in the distance.
There's been armed groups of marauders from across the sea scouring the area. I do not doubt your sincerity, but you cannot begrudge me my caution either. He is a wolf, after all.
Of course, but he is no spy, I can assure you of that. I looked to Ranok and flashed my brows the letter he has stashed behind his belt. Reluctantly, he removes it and passes it on to the tiger, who scrutinizes the seal. Those foreign wolves are part of the reason why we've come here. We were sent to meet with Lord Magistrate to treat with him and establish diplomatic relations between Strandbard and the Tiernan tribe.
Ranok, son of Varrock. As you say, Tiernan.
I've heard of your father.
The captain scratches his chin, passing the unsealed envelope back to the wolf.
For his sake, I hope you don't intend to follow in his paw prints.
Me, envoy. Meet with Tiger Chief.
Ranok reiterates through his teeth, oddly stirred by that ominous comment, which is evident in the annoyed flicker of his tail.
The magistrate.
The tiger corrects.
But yes, I suppose you have a right of entry. But, sir...
Was that an unprompted opinion, Private? He throws harshly at the guard for butting in, and the soldier moves back a few paces with a somewhat worried expression.
No.
Good. Then I take it you've just volunteered for latrine duty. The captain sneers and looks to us apologetically. You may go, my friends, but tread carefully, especially you. He narrows his eyes at Ranok. No funny business, Wolf. We've always had little patience for your kind around here. Nowadays, less than ever before. And with that warning, we're allowed through. As we pass the gate, we're greeted with a small square. 3 streets open up onto it, pouring out various kins rush in the late hours of the day. Before I can take all of this in, my eyes venture to Ranok. He's clearly unhappy with the warm greeting we've received, and I place my hand on his tense shoulder. You can't really blame them. You heard from the farmer and now the guards. There are wolves running rampant through their countryside.
Not our wolves, that's for sure.
He brushes my hand off and I simply shake my head. It doesn't matter. They're all scared and they have good reasons to be. Imagine if what happened in the Northern Groves happened here. I don't think we'd even be admitted. I try to laugh it off, but he's buried too deep in his thoughts. He feels dejected and almost defeated, and for a moment I forget about our ongoing spat. Whatever's the matter?
I feel useless. I can't speak with them. You kept prattling on while I just stood there like an idiot.
My smile widened with each of his words to the wolf's annoyance.
Well, it's not funny.
I mean, it kind of is. You must admit it's a little bit ironic.
How so?
Our roles reversed. I shrugged teasingly, but he doesn't take kindly to it.
Well, it's not the same. You speak Wolven.
I do, but I can't. Same result. I mean, you do understand what's being said, don't you?
Yes, of course I do.
He sneers.
It's just when it comes to uttering the words, it's hard to find the right ones. I never really spoke the language other than learning how to read. Most books, after all, are written in Tigeri.
See, it's just the same thing. I had to spend all that time knowing what's being said without being able to speak up.
Ugh.
He groans heavily and speeds up his pace, clearly losing patience with the conversation. In truth, I'm not that interested in dragging this further either, so I simply drop it. The short-lived amusement of the situation quickly loses its appeal, and I shift my attention to admiring the new setting. At first, the city seems an extension of the depressing countryside. Drabby, dreary-looking houses stretching forward from the gate and crowding the poorly cobbled road on either side. There's an improvised gutter running through the middle of the street, guiding the slush and mud and rainwater down towards the moat as the city steadily climbs upwards. Although more diverse than in Tiernan, the citizenry looks as tired and downcast as I am, scurrying about their business in the persistent rain, their clothes stained with mud at the edges. Despite the farmers' early enthusiasm, I met here with an air of clear indifference. There are some curious passing glances, but on the whole I'm just treated as another kin rushing through the street. The tigers are a clear majority here. I can spot an odd lion or an otter, which is mind-blowing to say the least. I expected to be gawked at, but instead I'm the one doing the gawking. There's even an occasional wolf, sporting a curious tattoo underneath the left eye. In fact, as we continue towards the city's centre, I count 3 more, all giving us rather suspicious and almost hostile gazes. And each of them with the same symbol on their left cheek, an upward-facing crescent with a droplet beneath it. What's that about? I break our silence, nodding subtly to yet another wolf standing underneath an archway. They all have the same tattoo.
It's not a tattoo,
Ranok responds solemnly.
It's a brand. A weeping moon, a mark of a banished wolf.
All wolves here were banished.
Not all, but most.
He concedes through a heavy sigh.
Some left Tiernan on their own accord, but those who were forced out got branded.
That's horrible. I blurt out in clear disgust. It only gives me the telltale patronising look.
There are 6 tribes, many of them having very little control over the outer packs. A banished wolf with little importance could simply avoid punishment by sneaking into another tribe with us none the wiser. This way, we know who broke our laws and cannot be trusted.
I still think it's a bit extreme. I continue, unconvinced by his explanation seemingly taken straight out of the Scarlet Letter. Branding people, that's just barbarity.
Thankfully, that's no longer your burden to carry.
Ranok issues another, this time exasperated sigh, looks at me sternly, pulling on my arm.
I know you've a penchant for seeking out trouble, but do not trifle with any of those wolves.
I try to flinch away, but he only tightens his grip.
I am serious. We do not banish our own lightly. Most of those wolves committed a heinous crime or sacrilege.
Or found out to bed other males. I throw in harshly, finally pulling my arm free from his paw. First he's taken aback by my defiance, but quickly renews his hold.
Trust me, you can be snide all you want, but far more wolves were banished for murder or thievery than for buggering another male. Clanner was caught red-pawed and even admitted the whole thing, yet he still remains within the tribe.
As a laughingstock. I give him a challenging gaze, then look back to his paw, still very much tightening around my wrist. Reluctantly he lets go, either to avoid causing a scene as some passers-by started paying attention to our increasingly heated exchange, or because he realizes he begins to cross some boundaries.
You're just like him, stubborn and always acting like you know best.
I decided to ignore that. They all kept saying how being defective could end up in banishment.
Only if you're unapologetic about it.
My eyes shoot wide open. There's nothing to be apologetic about.
There is if you stubbornly and selfishly put your own whim and desires ahead of the needs of your people.
He cuts me off coldly.
Each of us has our place and role to play. You, of all people, said you understand that. I guess that was a lie.
No, it wasn't, but this.
Seriously, I don't want to talk about things you clearly do not understand.
He brushes his paw at me in dismissal.
Chalk us up to savage primitives if you must, I don't care. If you have any wits about you, you'll stay away from the Weeping Wool. Those wolves will hurt you, especially if they learn where you came from and how privileged your position has been.
Privileged? I nearly choked with this somewhat inappropriate assessment, but yet again my indignation is met with his indifference.
Yes, privileged,
the wolf states coldly.
In case you forgot, you're another kin who broke our sacred laws and encroached on our lands. Many were killed for less. Those who were banished by their own kin certainly would see this as an insult. Do you think Aldrich was out to get you?
He asked with a slight tone of mockery in his voice.
To her, you're just a pawn to use against my father. To them, this would be personal. In fact, some might even think they could redeem themselves if they only got to bring your little pink head back to their respective chiefs.
I swallow heavily at his final words, almost thrown at me with his last strength to maintain composure. His chest is rattled and he breathes heavily. I can see he's upset. He worries. He might mask it behind an outburst because that's the only way to move forward without further heartbreak. He wants me to hate him. It would be easier for him if I did. I lock my eyes with his tucked tail, which completely derails his feigned angered stance, and I nod softly. Okay, I'll stay clear of the Weeping Wool, I promise. I try to keep my voice from quivering, this realization shifting my anger towards sadness and despair. I really don't want to stay here on my own, but his mind seems to be made up. We continue our journey into the city in silence, and the deeper we get, the nicer the surroundings. The houses overhead begin to shift into a more pleasant type. Well-built, tall stone structures with decorative colonnades and terraces. But to my surprise, we take a sharp turn into one of the alleyways, which compared to even to the first leg of the main street looks off-putting. It's dark and unpaved, with overhanging upper floors nearly touching the centre, creating a very foreboding tunnel. The moisture leaks down the walls and gathers on the road, meaning that we're now trudging through mud with my boots, drawing an audible pop whenever I pull them out of the muck. Why are we here? Thought we would stay at the famous inn. I mutter, not really sure where he's taking us.
The Strandbard is not a place you simply get into. Unless you're a famous bard, a prominent patron, or one of their regulars, that inn is off limits.
So we'll be staying in a slum?
Well, it's not a slum. This place was recommended me by Vither. Even if you were at the stage here each time they visited.
When was that, a whole generation ago? I scoff, having to dislodge my left foot from the sludge by hand.
Seriously, it looks bad because of the weather.
I give him a challenging stare. This place wouldn't look appealing if he'd give it a paint job.
Oh, stop your complaining. We're here.
Ranok points to a sign slowly bopping on the wind. The broken keg. Despite my misgivings about the place, the sound of revelry taking place inside is quite reassuring, and the golden glow of the lights flooding the street from the window was very inviting. I guess it could work. I shrug and allow the wolf to lead us inside. At first we're met with the typical Western greeting, a silence falling over the gathered and every eye locked on us. There's even an odd cough coming from the back of the room. Within seconds the patrons return to their merriment, and the hall fills with the clanking of mugs and cheers yet again.
Ah, Master Wolf.
A short yet stout tiger rushes to greet us, bowing gracefully in front of Ranok.
Forgive us our weariness. We don't allow the disgraced ones in this locale.
Disgraced ones? I find myself asking in confusion.
They're the ones with the mark. Oh, they're no good troublemakers, a lot of them. But you're more than welcome. Please, come.
He bids us to follow and Ranok shrugs. We approach the bar and look around. It's a cramped establishment and quite worn down. The customers don't seem to mind. There's a group of lions and leopards playing dice at the central table, to the utter amusement of the gathered, but on the sides I can spot odd pairs of various canines, cats, and even a ball. Utterly bizarre.
So, what can I do you for?
Meal, beer, and room.
Ah, a full service.
The barkeep rubs his paws excitedly.
We are quite full, it might be hard to squeeze you in.
Ranok pulls out a silver coin from his pouch and plops it on the counter.
Well, there's also two of you. Had it been just one?
With an exasperated sigh, the wolf adds yet another.
I suppose you'd also want a bath with this mud and...
Ranok slams his paw onto the counter, drawing the attention of the few nearby customers, only to reveal a third coin.
Take it, or we leave.
Oh, you know what? I'm sure something can be arranged. A sylph.
He snaps his fingers at one of the bunny waitresses.
Hey, have us. Could you help these two to one of our premium bedrooms? Sure thing, boss.
The girl rushes to our side and extends her paw towards me.
Let me help you with that, sugar.
Oh, sure. I take off the backpack and pass it to her, drawing a loud groan from the bunny.
Oh, boy, did you stuff all picking there? Jeez. Do you need help with that?
The barkeep points towards the chest on Ranok's shoulder, to which the wolf shifts away.
No, me good.
Very well.
The tiger raises his paws in defeat.
Off you go. Sylph will take good care of you. And Sylph. Yeah, boss? Prepare a bath for our guests while I get their refreshments ready. Sure thing, boss.
The bunny rushes off, grabbing one of the several candle holders on the shelf next to the hallway, and we follow. After scaling a rickety flight of stairs, we end up in a dilapidated and dark corridor stretching the entire length of the building. There's only one small window at the very far end overlooking a narrow space between the inn and the next building, giving in effect as much light as a door gap would. It's awfully dark.
Don't worry, I know my way around.
The girl responds cheerily and continues on while I struggle to find my footing, especially in my dirty makeshift shoes. Every now and then a bout of cheer and laughs echoes from beneath the wooden panels and rushes up the stairs behind us. Eventually we come to a stop in front of the second to last doorway, when the female bunny begins to rummage around her waist. 9 ring of keys jiggles merrily as she shuffles through them.
Nope, not that one. Not that one either. Oh, here we are.
She shoves the key into the door and the lock opens with a satisfying click. Once the doors are thrown ajar, she leads us in and drops the backpack to the ground. The room is spacious enough, but old, with evident wear and tear and very little care given to its maintenance. And of course, there's only one double bed. The girl begins to light up the candles in the room, using hers as a source of fire, bringing some life into this otherwise unwelcoming place. When she's done, she leaves the candle holder on the cupboard and disappears, only to return momentarily with a shovel filled with burning coals. She deposits them into 2 braziers standing on each side of the room. They immediately begin to radiate warmth. I place myself next to one of them to dry off and soak some of that heat, when the girl nods towards the large wooden bath next to the window.
I'll get the water ready. I shouldn't be too long. Would you like me to breathe some tisane while you wait?
Tisane?
We have chamomile, nettle and hyacinth or lavender.
Oh, you mean herbal tea?
No such luck, I'm afraid. We're not fine enough establishing a carry tea. This sun should help you warm you up just the same.
Sure. Oh, what do you suggest?
Well, I see you're pretty cold. Nettle and hyacinth should put life into your step. It also stimulates appetite. Well, the other two would put you right to bed.
Nettle and hyacinth it is, then.
I'll get that right up.
She wastes no time and closes the door behind her. I give Ranok a rather uncomfortable look.
What?
This place is interesting.
Oh, it's fine by me.
It's a shack. I'm saying that for staying in a forest cabin.
Is it not rising to my lord's expectations?
A muffled groan escapes my lips, for I can quip back. My attention is taken elsewhere. I look towards the left wall as I can hear the squeaking of the nearby bed, and an apologetic moaning of a couple in quite the spirited throes of passion, judging by the occasional lustful growls issued by the male. The rhythmic thumping doesn't leave much to the imagination. He's banging the female like one would be hammering a stubborn nail that refuses to give in. To my surprise, I'm much less fazed by this than Ranok is. The wolf is visibly getting uncomfortable and flushed, deciding to distract himself by needlessly rummaging through our luggage. At least one couple here is having fun. I decide to comment at a rather comical high-pitched squeal from the skewered lady.
Stop it,
he demands, thumping his tail anxiously against the floor. I'm just saying, doesn't seem like they're having a bad time.
It comes with the territory. Inns like this inevitably invite a more rowdy clientele.
There's a loud tumble come from the next room, suggesting a rather rough change of position, followed by an increased pounding of flesh against the wooden floor. Even the planks in our room begin to dance to the rhythm. They're rowdy, all right. I mumble awkwardly, unable to resist my strained thoughts from conjuring an image of Ranok and me engaging in an equally lustful union. I can only assume he's doing the same, as the wolf just squats there looking at the backpack with his back turned towards me. He doesn't bother to pretend to be even looking for something anymore. I think he's simply hiding a throbbing erection, which is exactly what I decided to do by sitting on the opposite side of the bed with my legs tightly crossed. We stay like this, frozen in time for what feels like an eternity of sexual torture, listening to the crescendo of moans and huffs until, inevitably, with the ever-increasing tempo, the couple next door arrives at the glorious conclusion. The female issues a moan of satisfaction, drowned out only by our throaty roar from what I assume would be a large feline counterpart. After that, it's silence, only disturbed by the strained gasps for air and an occasional cheer echoing from the hall beneath. We dare not to move, nor to look at each other. We just sit there and stare blankly into the distance while the couple next door tidies up, then she leaves the room to join the revelry downstairs. Finally, our door cracks open. The bunny enters with a folded linen cloth in one paw and a copper pot in the other. She places the pot onto a brazier, allowing it to retain its heat while she starts to unfurl the cloth over the bath. She's lining it diligently. Then she stops and looks at us, two frozen statues, giving either a confused gaze.
Something the matter, me sweets?
Oh,
Ranok clears his throat and I blink back to life.
No, all good. Thoughts far away.
Or in this case, a room away.
Right, me and the girls will bring up the water. How'd you like your bath, hot or tepid?
Ranok looks back to me and I shrug. Hot would be nice. Not too hot, though.
As he say.
The wolf nods and the female rushes towards the door, stopping briefly.
Do you want any oils or petals? We have dried spring flowers, and I think there should be a file of rose essence somewhere.
We know girls.
Ranok's tone takes on a scornful note. My side little indulgence wouldn't hurt. I might be a girl then, 'cause to me that sounds lovely. The bunny gives Ranok another look, seeking affirmation as he's the paying customer after all, and the wolf concedes with a reluctant nod. Once she leaves and the doors close, he gives me a taunting stink eye.
First scented soap, now this.
We've been 4 days on the road, most of the day wading through mud. I'd like to rest up. I mutter defensively, drawing a sigh of frustration from the wolf.
Fine. What does it matter when you're clearly going to be the biggest flower in that bath?
The serving girls, 6 in total, enter the room in a long continuous chain, each carrying a steaming bucket and carefully emptied into the bath, after which, one after another, they rush downstairs to start the process anew. We observe in silence, slightly inconvenienced by this constant stream of strangers entering the next tin. For after 3 rounds, the bath is ready. Sylph is peppering the water's surface with dried florets, with a gentle dab adding a dash of fragrant oil here and there. The room gets quite pleasantly steamy, with a hint of rose in the air, Once all is prepped and ready, the bunny gestures towards the bath.
Oh, thank you.
I left warm towels next to the brazier. They should hold for a while, but I wouldn't tarry.
Of course. I nod, and with that she bops her head merrily and leaves the room. We stand there, both cross-armed and darting our gazes between each other in the steaming bath. So, how should we do this?
Well, as before, you need to go first. I leave plenty of fur behind.
Won't they change the water?
That'll be pretty extravagant.
But it will get dirty.
Not if you scrub excess dirt before you enter.
The wolf scoffs in this obvious tone of his, and I shake my head in mild amusement. I begin to undress nonchalantly, despite the awkwardness of our still ongoing disagreement. Ranok, aware of how inappropriate this situation is, decides to avert his gaze, but his ears and tail remain perked up and alert, almost as if he was stalking prey. I decide to indulge my ego a bit and slow down the pace, almost trying to be seductive, yet remaining within proper boundaries. He can't help himself. I notice less than discreet glances directed at me whenever a piece of garment flops to the floor. Finally, I allow the loincloth to unmake itself and fall freely, and I take careful steps towards the bath. I check the water with my hand, and it's wonderful. Hot enough to sting at first, but not enough to burn. The howling of the wind outside, aided by the whistling of our window, serves enough of an invitation to hop in. I climb over the side, first dipping my toes to adjust to the new temperature. Knowing there's no easier way to do this, I simply step in, standing in the hot water up to my knees.
Fuck, it's hot!
I yelp, jumping from one foot to another and drawing Ranok's attention, who now, completely embarrassed, is looking directly at my dangling family jewels. He leaps back, almost as if it were him dunked at this boiling fat, stumbling to the floor and frantically shielding his gaze, while I, the idiot that I am, decide to dive down to cover myself. Boiled eggs and stewed ham, that's how I can describe the first few seconds of that experience. Thankfully, to distract me from the burning sting, I have a front view of a shamed Ranok scrambling back to his feet and sitting on the bed with his tail tucked repentantly. It's more than hilarious. I forget about any initial discomfort. Then it's just pure bliss. My body eases in the new surroundings, allowing me to relax, as if all my aching muscles released a collective sigh of relief. This is wonderful. I groan, taking in the warmth and the floral aroma permeating the air.
I'm glad you're enjoying yourself.
Ulf responds awkwardly, still very much diverting his gaze. Despite being at odds, I decide to ease his stress. Come on, it's not like it's anything you haven't seen.
I know, it's just...
He cuts off, looking around in distress and sighing.
I don't know. It felt wrong.
You can leave if you like. I can fetch you once I'm done. I shrug, and the male looks to me at first in shock and then in deference.
Oh, yes, perhaps that would be best.
He reluctantly gets up and sluggishly approaches the door. If he tries to hide his sorrow, he does a poor job of it, as both his ears and tail are tucked, and I release an exasperated sigh. Do you want to leave?
Do you want me to?
Seriously, we're still doing this will he, won't he crap? I splay my arms in mild frustration, splashing some water around.
You're angry with me.
Of course I'm fucking angry. Furious would be the word I'd use, but at the same time we don't need to act like we just met. That's just insulting.
I didn't mean to insult.
I meant for both of us. I cut him off yet again, taking a deep breath and trying to come across as genuine as I possibly could, given the circumstance. You might be a dickhead, but why we did things together, and we do find each other attractive. Why pretend like the last 2 weeks didn't happen?
Well, I just don't know what to do. This is all very new to me.
Not leave me alone in this shithole would be a fine start. I roll my eyes. But since we can't have that, might at least act natural around each other in those last few moments together. The wolf nods and returns to the bed while I splay myself in the water. As I rest against the top of the tub, a sharp pain shoots down my spine and I groan. Ugh, fuck, my back is killing me. I issue a strained complaint while trying to rub my shoulder out. Seeing this, the wolf perks up, without any hesitation steps forward with a soft smile.
Would you like me to give you a massage?
he mutters awkwardly, quickly realising how it sounded and correcting himself.
As a tit for tat, of course. You gave me one after all.
First, I'm taken aback by the proposal, almost refuse, only to realise that despite my anger, my body could really use a rub-down. It's really a win-win. Sure, that sounds nice. I concede to a nod. Ploy or not, what I got to lose? He's not going to super abandon me now, is he? And this way, at least I'm getting a massage out of this. He takes off his sword and pauldron, which, to be fair, I'm surprised he was still carrying around. I took the first moment possible to ditch my burden. I guess it shows just how self-disciplined he really is. The wolf takes a slow U-bend around the bath and places himself behind me. I lean forward in anticipation of his paws making contact. His touch is firm but measures he applies pressure where needed and kneads my muscles like a stubborn sourdough. Oh, damn, this feels good. I moan and I can hear I've drawn happy taps of his tail at the compliment. He continues working on my back, slowly softening the tense tendons. They feel at least a week younger, which in my case is nearly half my lifespan. Standing to carry on with my indulgence, I look towards the copper pot steaming at the brazier and bob my head toward the wolf. Would you pass me a cup of that tea or whatever she called it?
Tisane.
He corrects me while fetching a mug and filling it up with a hot beverage.
Tea would involve actual tea. Even I know that.
Imagine that. Knowledgeable savage. I flash my brows coyly as he passes me the drink, and a sharp pinch to my upper trapezoid causes me to yelp. Oof. Okay, point taken. I laugh, taking a conciliatory sip of the tisane. It has a curious flavour to it. There's a hint of sweetness from the hyacinth. Above all, it tastes like a thin vegetable stock with a slight spice to it. It is pretty good and complements the bathing experience a ton, especially accompanied by the now resumed massage. Ranok hits the spot every time, like a marksman honing in on a target, striking each strained muscle with great precision. Sure know what you're doing.
Your skin bruised a little,
he mutters with worry, trading stinging marks left by the backpack. I dismiss him with a wave of my hand. It's nothing, it'll heal. I've been stabbed, remember? I snort and the wolf murmurs uncomfortably.
Yeah.
My feet are blistered though. I'd need a pair of proper shoes.
We can look those at the market tomorrow. I'll make sure you have everything you need before...
Let's not ruin the moment. I cut him off despite the kind offer.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to be reminded of tomorrow. We're here and now. I allow him to pamper me for some time. Eventually we change places. To my surprise, he's not too fussy about the temperature. Though it's been a while, the water is still very much steaming. Once I dry myself out and manage to dress up somewhat presentably, I decide to return the favour and ease his strained musculature. At first he protests in embarrassment, but I'm having none of it. For up to me, we're either ones tumbling across the room and making a glorious ruckus for all to hear, or I'd not do that to either of us. It makes this whole morbid affair even more painful come the morrow. Despite his early complaints, the wolf seems to enjoy himself quite a bit, with his fur soaking up all the perfumed water and making him smell fairly pleasant.
If any of the wolves back home ever found out.
Oh hush, I can see you're enjoying it.
Well, that's what I mean. If any of the wolves found out, I'd be the next one Verissa brings a dress.
I snort on his little joke and splash some water teasingly in his muzzle, causing him to sneeze. At first I continue to rub his muscles calmly and collectedly, but quickly become self-serving. Might be the last time I get to feed him up, so I let my hands wander wherever they may, and the wolf loves it.
I'm really sorry.
He speaks up with a solemn voice and looks back toward the window.
I know you don't want to believe it, nor hear it, but I am.
I know. I concede through a deep sigh. I'm more angry with the circumstance than with you. I still don't agree with your logic, but I also won't be forcing your paw. I'm no Tano.
No, you aren't. You're much more mature than he ever was.
The wolf smiles softly, placing his paw on top of my hand and stopping the massage for a brief moment.
Still, it's Tano we're talking about. The bar wasn't set high. You're childish enough at times.
and he ruins the moment in a clumsy attempt at levity, forcing me to give him a stern look. It's not funny, not for me. You made a promise.
Look, I wasn't planning on just abandoning you, alright?
He splays his paws in protest, splattering some of the water.
You didn't even let me tell you the whole plan.
Plan? I scoffed, taking a begrudging sip of the tisane. What's the plan here exactly?
I just want you out of harm's way, that's all. The turmoil in Tiernan is precisely something I don't want you involved in. But once things calm down and this whole Howl mess is resolved, one way or another, I do intend to undertake those travels I told you about.
Despite a slight shift in his tone, the wolf struggles to sound sincere. His body language betraying the actual depth of his own doubt. His ears, for one, are splayed back ever so slightly, and the tail remains motionless, even at the mentioned prospect of fulfilling his puphood dreams. Hollow words meant as an encouragement, as the future he presents is one he doesn't quite believe himself.
I would have come back for you.
He insists, sensing my distrust, I nod softly. I know. I concede, resuming the massage. That part was never in question. Of that, I'm certain. What I'm not certain of is that you'll be able to.
Look, you're in Strandbard, you'll be safe and thriving. We could do all the things we promised ourselves if you just stay here. So we cannot do them if you're dead.
You underestimate me. My voice takes on a more assertive tone. I squeeze harder at his bicep. The wolf only rolls his eyes.
And you're overestimating yourself. You're a naive, helpless halfling. Neither a pup nor a man. You can't even swing a sword.
So, the world isn't made only of burly warriors like you.
You're a walking target in a forest full of trained killers.
So are you. I splashed some water right into his muzzle, causing him to blink uncomfortably. You talk about me as if I'm murder waiting to happen. You aren't exactly invincible yourself. Your father was nearly taken out with a javelin. All it takes is a well-aimed arrow, so the size and combat prowess don't really matter much, do they?
You have an answer for everything, don't you?
He smacks his lips impatiently and shifts away in the tub, resting his paws against his knees. He's retracting like he usually does when a conversation isn't going his way. Ranok always did that with Varissa. He did with me on a few occasions, so I'm having none of it.
Why can't you understand you'll be safer here than in Tiernan? I can't guarantee your safety anymore. Here, you can live in comfort until I return.
If you return. Even so, how long would that take? A year? I propose mockingly, and the wolf shrugs.
Maybe. It very well could. This is the best option we have. I cannot risk your life on a whim.
But you aren't risking it. If you truly believe that I'm not your property, then you have to concede that I have the right to make my own decisions. I have my own agency here.
Bringing you back to Tiernan would be a mistake.
And it's my own mistake to make. I reiterate, kneeling beside him and meeting his determined expression with equal zeal. You don't know the future. You cannot be certain of your own, let alone dictate mine. If you want to talk about mistakes, leaving me here would be more idiotic than bringing me back.
And why is that?
Because you're playing right into Aldrich's paw. I know she pretends to be dumb or simply is dumb, but us doing what she accused you of wouldn't hurt her case, but rather strengthen it. My assessment catches him by surprise and his ears shoot up. You're right. My position is enormously privileged. I've seen the wolves who are banished here for lesser crimes. I've heard the prize outer packs have paid for my trespass. Maybe let go scot-free with insult to all and cause resentment and all sorts of conspiracies. I splay my hands for emphasis. He sits back, rested against the tub and slightly more relaxed. He narrows his eyes and listens to me intently.
Such as?
The main one. Your father was in on all of this, and I was some sort of political stunt people are yet to understand. You must see the only way to save your father's seat is transparency. If you start muddling and omitting stuff, this will give Aldrich everything she needs to steer the Howl her way. The wolf rubs his chin uncomfortably, trailing his paw all the way to the back of his head and sighs.
If I brought you back, she would use you against us.
How? I ask impatiently. She can't question me. I'm a dumb ape, remember? It's not like my disappearance would disprove my existence in the first place. Me coming back not only shows you're a wolf of honor, but also demonstrates that none of us has anything to hide. His statement not only suggests there was more to my story than really is, but also all of you were involved in the cover-up.
There's a war coming.
I know. I was there. I've heard what happened. I sigh in frustration at this patronising treatment. Do you really think I could just sit here waiting for news of the horrors taking place scant 4 days away? If I didn't go mad from fear for your safety, I wouldn't decide to return of my own accord. Whatever happens to you, I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be alone. Sam. His tone softens, and hearing him utter my name in such a loving manner causes butterflies in my stomach. He's taken aback by my words, and I reach out into the water, holding his paw. I really don't want to stay here. This clearly doesn't want to leave me either. This is my life, a new life that I was given. I won't let anyone, even you, sideline me. My place is at your side. You know this. Deep inside, you know that we're meant to walk this path together.
That's exactly the reason why I didn't want to tell you anything until we got here.
He sighs heavily, retracting his paw.
You have a way with words that can make complete madness sound logical. It was all pup talk. Why can't you see this?
The wolf hangs his head in defeat.
Think of me what you must. I cannot willfully take you back, knowing what price you could pay.
I look at him with mild hurt in my eyes. I don't believe for 1 second he truly dismisses all this fate talk from before. My anger, although subdued, is still lingering between the layers of anguish and betrayal.
Look, if I agreed with everything you said, if I wanted to, what possible reason could I have to take you back, when I was expressly commanded by my father and Vita to leave you here?
Which proves my point. All this wasn't just her old bitchy self. She's very much onto their scheme. Your father and his friend are their own undoing.
Maybe, but it's not my place to question the chief, nor to naysay his advisor of many years. With both them wanting you gone, not even Marissa's hocus pocus could save your skin.
He states with a slight hint of desperation in his voice, returned to scrubbing his fur, signaling the conversation lasted as long as it possibly could. He's struggling with this whole mess almost as much as I do. Although I'm still cross with him, I'm not discouraged nor bitter. His mind might seem ultimately made up, but it's not by him alone, as I initially thought, but at the behest of others. Instead of pushing the issue further, I need to find more proof the logic behind this idea is flawed and find some reason to revert this course. And in the end, if I'm unable to change his mind, there's no real point in digging my heels and picking up a fight if we part ways tomorrow. I'd rather we did so amicably, both leaving on good terms than have either of us harbour resentment. To his surprise, I dunk my hands into the water and pick up the washcloth, wringing of excess moisture and helping to groom his fur in hard-to-reach spots. He's confused at first, but I can hear the water swirl slightly with the gentle movement of the submerged tail.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Fluff. I boop his nose with a gentle smile, drawing a reluctant chuckle from the male. Ranok takes as much time soaking as I did. Once he's done, I help him dry his fur. Yes, he's awkward and flustered about it, but again, nothing I didn't see nor done before. He takes a sharp inhale as I rush the towel across his groin and stifles a soft moan as I skim over the nether regions. Truthfully, this feels more like a payback for all the teasing I had to suffer than anything remotely gratifying, but I'd lie if I insisted that no part of me enjoyed it on some sort of level. And so does he, it would seem. I came to check you need any more hot. Sylph cuts off, opening the door and effectively catching me fondling the wolf, who stands triumphantly splayed with his tongue dangling out. Oh my, another one! Please forgive me. She yelps and jumps out, rushing down the corridor, giggling. Ranok's already on the other side of the room, mortified, while I share in the girl's merriment. Don't worry. Seems this sort of thing is a norm around here. I chuckle, inviting him to return and allow me to finish the task at hand. Once he's all dry to the best of my ability, I stretch out lazily and yawn. This is very relaxing, I comment, leaving up my makeshift shoes next to the brazier to dry up, so that way it'll be easy to remove all the muck. For the time being, I'll have to be barefoot.
Yeah, surprisingly. I don't take many plunge baths.
The wolf admits to the shrugs he pulls up his pants. I help him with gambeson and belt, and once he's ready, we proceed to leave for dinner. When we come back down, the room is even livelier and more animated than before. The The number of guests has doubled at the very least, with the addition of quite a few colourful characters. By that I do not mean their coats. At the bar, a group of mercenaries, for lack of a better word, is enjoying their drinks and making merry. Two massive boars carrying heavy, intricately decorated axes, an equally big badger with a mace. If armed or not in uniform, they cannot be guards. I doubt the city watch allow bandits to walk around the town with weapons in hand. They must be muscle for hire. In that tune I can see gambling continuing the central tables, with cards and dice being enjoyed by at least half a dozen and twice the number of spectators. This place got awfully crowded. What time would you say it is?
14th hour at the very least.
So around 10 PM, I think to myself.
I was told that broken keg is quite popular among the lower class of this city.
I croon, not entirely dismissive of the place. There's definitely a charm to this level of activity, even if the clientele is rougher around the edges. In truth, I could enjoy this now that I've finally picked up a drowned-out lute being strung by a small fox splayed comfortably near the window, with his hind paws on the table. He's playing a rather pleasant tune, despite the loud conversation, laughter and shouting completely overwhelming it. In the far corner I noticed a cute athletic hyena in a very revealing tribal outfit, talking some business over with a wolf and a husky. Almost looks as if they're flirting, with the towering males smirking every now and then between each other, their tails giving electrified flickers whenever the hyena stretches or giggles. I have to admit he's quite seductive, and I take note of some of his more subtle ways of provoking his companions.
What are you looking at?
Nothing. I shake my head, not really wanting to draw attention to this potential interkin threesome in the making. It was just admiring the scenery.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
Ranok sounds troubled, and I smile. I forget that him is a brand new experience as well. The last time he was here, he was just a pup. I doubt they took him to such seedy places. I rub his arm encouragingly, only to pull back, reminded of our ongoing argument. As I turn my head away, I notice Sylph whispering something to the innkeep, who smiles gleefully and rubs his paws together. It doesn't take long for the pudgy male to trot our way. Master Wolf, I hope the bath was to your liking.
Yes, now eat.
Of course. The tiger nods eagerly and leads us towards the table where the music comes from. Right, I've told you could only play 4 songs, then I'd have to order something or fuck off. He glances over the unfolded hat, only to notice 2 small copper coins. I don't see an order coming up, so beat it. A slap of the napkin causes the fox to jump up to his feet in noticeable annoyance. I didn't get him finished my 3rd one. I don't care, go in your coin somewhere else, I've got a business to run. And you wonder why your establishment lacks refinement, you chase away all the entertainment. Refinement doesn't pay my bills, kid. All filling these tables does. And trust me, having them full is mighty more entertaining than your torturous harping. I feel slightly awkward and uncomfortable having the fox chased away. The innkeep doesn't leave much time for us to dwell on it. Here you go, good sirs, let me tidy up. The chubby male flutters his napkin across the table as if it were doing anything. I'll come back in a moment with your meals and drink. Ale, stout, or lager?
Ale.
With the table clean, we take our seats, and I suddenly follow the fox with my eyes, feeling a guilt growing in my stomach the closer the door he gets. As he's about to pass the pending ménage à trois, he's quickly hooked in by the muscly arm of the husky. At first, the fox is taken aback. A few seductive words cause him to brighten up and join the conversation with the remaining 2 members of this sensual troupe. What is going on there, I wonder?
Seriously, what are you looking at?
I blink, noticing Ranok's confused gazes darting between me and the wider room. My face flushes, and I decide to shake my head yet again. I'm not going to discuss my flights of fancy in our current mood. It's inappropriate. It's nothing, just general curiosity. And there it is. The wolf traces his hand across the hyena's torso, causing the petite male to shudder with anticipation, the utter delight of the husky and his tightly embraced bard. Fuck me, someone's gonna have a fun, busy night. I pull on my neckline. The room's gotten mighty hot all of a sudden. Our plates land in front of us with a wooden clunk, while the same waitress that took us upstairs brings us our overflowing mugs with a brimming, knowing smile. Here you go, boys. You must be famished. Now, if you need anything, just call me, okay? She says in a chirpy tune, and we nod with gratitude. Food doesn't look like much, but smells incredible. It's a thick stew with strands of beef sinew intermingling with some carrots, peas and onions and dark, rich gravy. It's all very much overcooked, causing every spoonful to melt in my mouth. A hearty, welcome meal after a whole day of this drudgery.
Not bad.
Ranok nods approvingly after taking a mouthful, followed by a deep gulp. The stew or the ale?
Both.
He states with satisfaction. I jitter slightly the rambunctious explosion of cheer and laughter behind us, when the gambling tables just witnessed an impressive comeback, and the players as well as spectators celebrate the winner.
Seems safe.
The wolf mutters reassuringly, a grimace at his tortured point. Only if the pitch of the sale's already been made. I grumble, taking a prolonged gulp from my mug.
I'm just saying, it's lively and friendly.
Too friendly. I snicker absent-mindedly, seeing the discreet touches devolve into shameless groping. The wolf and the hyena go fully at it, with no one paying them any mind, while the husky simply chats the bard some more. I'm not sure if the fox is really into it if he's fishing for coin, but theirs is a more restrained courtship.
Oh, that.
Ranok turns his head and finally hones in on my point of interest, causing me to blush.
I now see why your attentions are so divided. Can't say I blame you.
He shrugs, returning to his meal.
Seems quite fun. The husky got the short end of it, though.
Seriously, Ranok.
Don't you Ranok me, you're the one gawking at a public makeout session.
The wolf smirks, and his happy tail taps draw me from me a reluctant chuckle. I guess this place isn't all that bad.
See, you can even entertain yourself while you stay here.
He proposes coyly, finding what appears to be a rib in the stew and holding it up. Oh, and you'd be fine with that?
Oh, sure.
He shrugs, knowing whatever meat is still attached to the bone.
I mean, you made it perfectly clear that your choice is no longer my concern.
I sigh in annoyance. Though I can sense the air of levity to his jabs, I do not find this appropriate. It's too soon. I still don't think he's treating my situation seriously enough. I don't want to stay here, interkin orgies or not. He chokes on my remark, coughing loudly and patting his chest, followed by a dousing share of ale. What? I shrug innocently. Two can play at this game. Misinterpreting the lull in our spirited exchange, the barkeep joins us to ask how the meal goes. Anything to your satisfaction?
Yes.
Anything else I can do for you, master?
Not now. Leave.
Ranok sneers, putting down the now cleaned out rib. The barkeep only smiles goofily and returns to his counter, while the wolf waits for some distance between us to resume our conversation.
I really need you to work with me here. Our situation got incredibly dangerous. Not just for us, but for everyone involved.
Yes, I understand that, but I told you what I think of this ludicrous plan of yours. Not only won't work, but also backfire spectacularly. And then, no matter what you do, you'll put everyone in danger.
Well, that's just your speculation. I can't say I fault your logic. Some of your points are valid. It does seem to come more from a desire to stay at my side. It's selfish. I should know because I've acted on my own selfish impulses. I take you back regardless of the consequences. But I'm not selfish, and neither are you.
This isn't about selfishness. I slam my fist into the table, drawing the wolf's weary gaze. He looks at me with slight pity, which only aggravates me further.
Of course it is.
That's easy for you to say. You're not the one who'll be stuck alone in an unfamiliar place with nothing but anxieties.
Easy, is it?
The wolf narrows his eyes.
You make this situation all about yourself.
Of course I am. I'm the one who's been left here.
You really think at no point I don't regret the situation we found ourselves in?
He throws in harshly, his hood on display in a twisted muzzle.
When I found you, I thought it'd just be a matter of sheltering you until you got well. Then everything got complicated, with the tribe, the politics, and us.
The last part causes him to wince slightly.
I came to terms with things that are beyond my control.
Why can't you? Because they are in our control and not given up on us.
In a perfect world, we wouldn't have wars and banishments to worry about. Just endless bliss in each other's company. Unfortunately, not all of us can be stuck in a pipe dream.
You don't have to worry about any of those things. You're young, you barely came of age. You very much could spend your life in endless bliss if you truly wanted to.
It's your desperation talking.
I watch as the wolf shrugs, reaching for the mug and taking a deep chug. Once he places it back onto the table, he gives me a more collected look. Still somewhat remorseful, yet betraying some newfound determination.
You know I would never run away from my responsibility. I know you aren't that selfish to expect it of me. You, just as much as I, would never be able to live with the knowledge you left others behind. You're selfless and thoughtful. You've proven it beyond any doubt. Don't let despair twist your noble nature.
That's not fair.
I don't want to have any more of this conversation. You might think of me what you will, but I don't want my opinion of you to diminish.
Your opinion of me? I jolt up to my feet in clear outrage at this comment, drawing some attention to our table. Ranok only shakes his head and hoists up his paws in defeat.
Sam, please don't make a scene.
He whispers, bidding me to return to my seat.
There aren't many establishments left to choose from. If you're so worried about having to stay in unfamiliar places, making yourself a fool in your potential new home isn't a good idea.
I sit down reluctantly, my solemn gaze diverting from his muzzle. There's not much else I could say to change his mind. In the end, a small part of me begins to understand that he might be right. It isn't fair, but insisting on it like a petulant child won't change the harsh reality. This foreign town with its strange people will be my home for the unforeseeable future, and with that realization I simply fall silent. Don't even eat anymore. I've lost my appetite anyway. I just sit there, locking my gaze with the large windows opening on the streets beyond, thinking of Tiernan and the village. Everyone's probably at the feast now, making merry, glad to be rid of the one thing that set their lives out for a well-worn routine. Whatever false sense of triumph I had during the bath is now completely gone. Once Ranok's done with his food, we simply return to our room in silence. He seems as much given up on the subject as I am, and soon we're making ready to call it a night. I look at him with mild confusion, holding the folded tunic in my arms as the wolf removes a blanket from the bed and unfurls it onto the floor. What are you doing? I ask almost indifferently, and he winces slightly.
Well, I think it inappropriate.
I thought we agreed to not dick around like that. Why make pointless gestures of what exactly? I scoff. Is you sleeping on the floor meant to be your penance? Stupid. I quip in annoyance, and the wolf cringes slightly, picking up the blanket.
You'd rather we shared a bed, then?
I don't care where you sleep. Do what you please, but don't make mockery of all the time we spent together.
I'm sorry. You're right.
I'm being silly. The wolf sighs in resignation and tidies the bed again, or simply clambers in. I take one side of it, allowing for him to rest beside if he so chooses. My back is turned firmly towards him. My concession is of a good nature, not some desperate attempt at making up. I don't want him sleeping rough for no real reason. The bed is big enough.
I'm sorry it has come to this, truly.
He mutters, laying down beside me as the mattress wobbles slightly under his weight. But you must understand, there's nothing that justifies coming back together. His voice wavers pitifully and I clench my lips.
You need to come to terms with the fact you'll stay here. The sooner the better.
I don't respond, desperately trying to keep the moisture out of my eyes. Again, there's not much else to say. Our journey's at an end, and as heavy a thought it is, it finally sinks in. Despite a heavy heart, sleep comes hard to me, while the rhythmic tapping of the rain continues outside. Even the feather bed, which is much more welcome than the tent ever was, cannot send me off to the land of Nod. Ranok, emotionally and physically exhausted, snores softly beside me with his massive chest expanding in a soothing rhythm. I just stare blankly at the ceiling, mulling over the fact that tomorrow we will part ways. Try as I can, no matter how many different scenarios I play in my head, I cannot find any reason that allow for my safe return. Just like he predicted. Perhaps Ranok could have placated his father, but Vither, that's another issue entirely. Although I understand his protection of his Cora, somehow his sudden shift of attitude towards me leaves a pit in my stomach. There's a fear buried deep inside me that we're looking at it all wrong. Vither is not what he seems, and at least according to Erof and Talisin, doesn't always have the good of his tribe at heart. which makes me doubly convinced that being sent away is not what's best for the wolves. It could be just wishful thinking, but something doesn't feel right. I can't see Vither being a traitor. After all, he saved Varroc's life. He killed for his friend and shares a deep emotional wound with him. One doesn't have to be a traitor to be trouble. Whatever those two old wolves have in store, it feels like it involves me being out of the picture. And somehow, I can't see it adding up to a happy ending for everyone involved. Don't want any harm to come their way, but Ranok seems completely blinded by his loyalty to both of his daddies. Knowing I'd be stuck here without any means to help them just eats me inside. Yes, it's a strenuous, torturous night, and the more I realise how helpless my situation is, the more bottomless my pit of despair grows. I don't want to be left alone here. I don't want to start again as an orphan with no one to count on, with no one to ground or to comfort me. As warm trickles of tears finally slide across my face, I bury myself into the pillows and try to rein in my emotions to no avail. I sob there quietly for some amount of time, until, desperate and broken, I finally fall asleep. I lay there in the dark and troubled dream, suffocating void crushing down upon my chest. But I am not alone. Why do you cry, child? Why do you suffer so? A strange yet familiar voice echoes through the darkness. What? Who's there? I try to peer into the surrounding void. The thick pitch almost sticks to my eyes. It's your mother, dear. Finally, the image of the sitcom woman emerges from the nothingness. I hang my head and sigh heavily. I had a feeling you'd come back to torment me. Torment? It's not me who broke your heart now, is it, Sam? Why the disguise? You'd already seen through it. It brings you comfort, does it not? She shrugged casually, her lips curling into an almost kind smile. Isn't that what you need right now? Some comfort? And you're meant to give it to me. Oh, I can give you more than anyone ever could. The woman spreads her arms invitingly. I can't help but scoff in mild amusement. Why a sudden change of tune? I tried being disciplinarian. Now I'm trying motherly love. We can make this work, Sam. Somehow each time she utters my name, I feel as if a needle is stuck into my brain. I feel sick and queasy with all my innards churning. We both know you're not my mother. I can be anything you want me to be. She replies softly, and just like that her form shifts to that of the grey wolf. He stands there, his strong arms confidently resting against his hips. Is this better? His warm timbre resonates through the nothingness, my eyes well up in anger. How dare you take his form? Too soon? The false wolf snickers and I swing at his smug muzzle. Before I land a hit, the figure melts away into nothingness, a soft chuckle bouncing off into eternity. I knew you wanted to hurt me. I do nothing of the sort, but they... I blink, seeing the form of Orissa. Then Vol appears at different ends of this dark pit of despair. They are a different matter entirely. Cora. Tano. It's too much. I fall to my knees, tears flowing down my cheeks. What the fuck is going on? Oh, poor Sam. Finally, the familiar female figure reappears in front of my eyes. Led astray by the very people he so eagerly trusted. Stop calling me that. I snap out again, feeling the name akin to a hot brand pushed into my skin. You're alone here, you know that. With no one you can rely on, no one you can trust. It's just you and me. Let me be your comfort. Mother always knows best. You're not my mother. I yell out in anger. As much as I want to stand up and square off with the entity, I can't. Feeling my strength abandon me, almost as if drained. You're not my mother. I repeat in a more pitiful tone. Not the one I once had, nor a new one in the cosmic sense. I know you weren't the one who brought me here. I feel it in every fibre of my being. That may be true. I blink, looking to the creature with surprise, and the woman smiles. If it's honesty you strive, you shall have it. But tell me, where is the one who gave you this new life you cherish so? You're left abandoned, guideless and alone, like so many unwanted children are. I might not have given you life, but I'm the closest thing to a mother you'll ever have. As surreal as it seems, I feel as if the nothingness surrounding me closes in. It's hard to breathe, and I was sinking to the blackened floor. But then another voice pierces through the void. Kaelin. What? I look as if towards the source of the sound, and so does she. And so the lies begin anew. The woman speaks through a casual shrug. The only lie here is you, and I'm done playing games. Leave me alone. Leave? Sam, you and I are one. She smiles, but I'm having none of it. Leave me alone and never come back! Wake up, please. A false light cannot begot happiness. Only pain shall await you there, or within the shadows I will be watching. I don't care! I shout, and this time a bright flash of light shoots through the darkness for but a moment, stunning us both. I want to wake up. I state, and to my surprise she nods. Very well then, run along, little firefly. But you'll see, you'll beg me to come back soon enough. And then she fades to black. I wake up restless and unsettled, my rattled chest almost like a cage with a startled canary inside. Relax. Breathe. The wolf asks in a worried tone, pointing towards his own chest. He's guiding me down from yet another panic attack. Do you remember? I nod, following cues from his own relaxed inhales. That's right. Slow and steady. Breathe. He continues in encouragement, and eventually I sigh heavily, finally composing myself enough to look around. It's pitch dark, and the wolf hovers above me, reminiscent to our very first night. Sharing a bed in our current situation is awkward enough, but having Ranok looking at me with his worried, knowing eyes is even more so. Well, everything's all right? He asks in that generally concerned tone of his, and I cringe a little. You have been panting heavily the last few minutes. I tried to wake you up, but nothing worked. Yeah, I'm fine. Just a bad dream. I straighten up, looking at the darkness beyond the window. Well, it's still the middle of the night. He mutters, following my gaze with his. I bet he can sense how upset I am, as my heart almost feels ready to leap out of my chest. And just like that, he confirms it with another question. You sure everything's fine? Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. I shake my head and rub my face. I don't want to waste time mulling over my feelings. Not exactly relevant right now, despite the wolf's prodding for details. I see no point in discussing it. Not as absolutely clear that I'll have to deal with all of this on my own anyway. You seem a little freaked out. He mutters as I struggle to crawl from underneath him and get up to my feet. I walk up towards the table and pour myself a glass of water, which I drink up thirstily. There's a mist gathering in front of my face, and despite the embers still burning inside the braziers, it's gotten incredibly cold. Without a word, I pick up the dress and decide to put it on. My fingers jitter so badly I'm unable to clip the pins together. Okay, not a little, a lot. You're setting my fur on edge. It's fine. I told you I'm fine. I snap on to have him look at me pitifully. You're not. You're trembling and crying. You're very much in the same state as you were when we first met. What? I instinctively bring my hands to my cheeks. And there they are, 2 wet streaks trickling down, and I'm not even aware of it. I'm so stunned and surprised by my state, all I can think of is to lash out. And you're surprised by that? You're surprised I'm falling to pieces when you pull the rug from underneath me? Seriously? I thought we were past this. He sighs, rubbing the ridge of his nose. Not by a mile.
Oh, that's how you want it to be?
Want? I want nothing of the sort. My wants clearly do not matter.
Okay, enough.
This time it's him who raises his voice.
If you don't want anything to do with me, just say it. But don't jeopardize my mission. My people's life depends on it.
Ulf looks to me with a serious expression, and I sneer. Of course, I want to be the usual burden that I am.
You can get me arrested acting the way you do. My people aren't looked upon kindly in this town.
Gee, I wonder why.
I really cannot deal with this right now.
He sighs heavily, hiding his muzzle deep into his palms.
I have enough worries as it is. Everything hinges on the audience with the magistrate tomorrow. My father's future, my friends' lives. Hate me if you need to, but please, try to collect yourself.
His voice softens and he finally gets up, taking a few steps towards me.
Tomorrow night might be the last time we see each other for a very long while. I want it to be a good day, for both of us.
Like all the ones where you strung me along? I taunt challenge and he stops in his tracks.
I did what I had to give you some good memories you were clearly begging for. I wanted to help you through whatever it is you're struggling with. When I found you, you were weeping at the sight of the rain.
You think that you...
No, I won't be doing this.
He cuts me off through a soft growl as he collects his gear.
I won't be dragged into yet another argument. There are more important things at stake here than my standing with you. I never intended to hurt you.
The wolf states plainly, turning his back on me as he approaches the door.
Well, you'll figure that out on your own or you won't. That's your choice. I did everything I could to make amends.
He says with a hint of hurt in his voice before stepping outside. I stand there, looking at the doors in shock as they close behind him. Once alone, my rattled chest begins to heave uncontrollably. How dare he? All his patronizing is insufferable. My face contorts painfully, and I feel another episode of hysteria approaching. I try as best I can to control it, but... Surrender to the pain. Let it flow like a twin river. No, no. I watch as all remnants of brightness are being sucked out of the room. Everything begins to twist and turn. No, no, no. I can't stay in this room. The wolves seem to close in on me. I rush towards the door, struggling to take hold of the door handle. Finally, with a firm grip, I manage to turn it, pulling on the door with all my might. The room presses against it as if we were underwater. It's a Herculean task to even crack it a little. Eventually, a big enough gap allows me to squeeze through. The door slams violently behind me as I fall into the corridor, immediately throwing myself towards the only window. My hands tremble as I try to unlatch it and get some fresh air. The panel moans as I slide it upwards, pushing my head outside to take greedy inhales. Once I feel the gentle breeze cool me down, I return back inside, sliding gently against the wall. When I open my eyes, I realize I'm not alone. A female tigress stands at the end of the corridor, a smoking pipe in hand, giving me a troubled look. Fuck, made a spectacle of myself yet again. What? She asks in a quite commanding tone, or as I've been dead staring at her for a few moments now. Is that tobacco? I blurt out a question. She rolls her eyes, taking a long, exasperated puff. Not another one. It is or it isn't. What of it? Nothing. It's just... I recognize the smell. Indeed I do. It is tobacco. And again, this odd past-life feeling washes over me. You're in some kind of trouble, kid? No, why do you think I am? Well, you're clearly broken about something. I could hear you sobbing half through the night. Put a real dumper in the mood. I had to refund one customer. Oh! She's a prostitute. Probably the very same we heard last night. I'm quite stumped that my embarrassed expression causes the female to first snort and then erupt in laughter. What's so funny? At first I thought you were another whore like me. Just a fancy type, a bit more exotic, that's able to charge more. How else would you afford that dress? She points to my tunic and instinctively grabs its edges to spread it out a little. Oh, this. It was a gift. Whores don't get gifts like that. Not the ones in here, anyways.
Seeing your shock-laden face tells me you really don't belong here, do you?
No, I mean, not in my mind, but truth be told, this might become my home soon enough anyway. I smile awkwardly, and she smiles back, approaching slowly.
The accent in your manners also tell me you're of a higher stock.
So, how did a well-born, well-bred human end up in a dump like this? It's a long story. She takes a deep inhale from her pipe, releasing a thick cloud to the side.
Hey, I've got time to kill between now and my next appointment. I also have a nice bottle of port you clearly need, and I'm willing to share.
I blink in shock at the offer.
Why would you care? Well, it gives me something to do.
She shrugs.
And in all honesty, I would do anything to shut you up. That sobbing is killing my business.
That, and I'm bored. Her tone is more teasing and accusatory.
With some of the clients acting like carpenters, banging at me as if I were a table in the making, it's nice to have a chat every once in a while. You seem interesting enough.
I don't think you'd want to hear it. I shudder, not sure how open I should be about my sexuality. It seems my embarrassment is read by her like an open book.
Why, because you like a bit of wolf and cock? Who am I to judge? I once slept with a female rhino. Finding a hoo-ha was trickier than you'd think, let me tell you.
She shrugs merrily, and I laugh at the absurdity of that statement. Rhino?
A long time ago, and not true. Anyway.
The female takes a long huff from the pipe.
I saw your roommate storm past me a moment ago. A purposeful gate like that can only be fueled by a lover's quarrel.
Wouldn't exactly call it that.
Call it whatever you want. As I said, I'm willing to lend my ear.
Okay, I could use a chat. I nod in agreement. In truth, I don't really want to be alone right now. This has become my new home. Seeing as she's a regular, building a rapport this early on might be a good idea.
Stay right here. I'll fetch the port. I'd invite you to my room, but it's not a place some of your stature should be seen entering or leaving.
True to her word, she turns shortly with a bottle in one paw and 2 crystal chalices in the other, her pipe securely held between her lips. For a moment I'm reluctant to open the door to our room, patting the handle as if to check it won't burn my hand.
Whatever's the matter?
She asks in confusion, finally realized all these freakouts are just in my head. Nothing. I shake my head and push the door open. I doubt the cosmic fart would manifest anything for both of us to witness. As she places the glasses onto a cupboard, she grabs the bottle and pours this around, swishing the pipe out in an elegant way which leaves a soft trail of smoke behind.
Mind if I smoke you, or are you seriously that averse to it?
What do you mean?
That spectacle with the window?
She bops her head towards the door.
Not the first time a snobby neighbour complained.
Oh, no, I don't mind. I shake my head in embarrassment. I try to figure out how to get the lights going. That was something else. She narrows her brows with a slight smirk.
Here, let me help you.
The female approaches one of the candles and puffs into the pipe, causing it to flare up. She lights up the wick with it, and thus the light returns to the room. I watch as she gracefully walks from one candle to another, lighting them all up in similar fashion, till finally she returns to the table and nods towards the chair.
Shall I sit here?
Please, make yourself comfortable. I reply through a smile, as she passes me one of the filled-up goblets.
So, tell me that story of yours.
Which story?
The one that's long and improper. Mama wants to hear it.
Are you sure?
I obviously don't have that much time, kid, so let us better not waste it.
She sighs in mild annoyance, huffing another cloud of smoke away. I smile and nod, taking a deep breath and even deeper gulp from the cup. I begin, as I should, with me being naked and covered in blood at a tree in the forest, to a mildly surprised expression. She doesn't bat an eye. I explain everything that transpired in Tiernan, trying to leave out details that might put the tribe in jeopardy, the politics, the war. I just paint a good enough picture of everything that related directly to me. But mostly I focus on my budding relationship with Ranok and my current gripe I have with the wolf. Not how long it takes me to cover everything leading up to our trip. She seems interested enough for me not to pause, nor is she interrupting me with questions. She just listens, taking in my comments with either nods or a smile, intertwined with long puffs from her pipe. Finally, I relayed exposition of ours, which holds her captivated with her eyes gleaming in part with curiosity, but also slight envy. Seems she didn't get to enjoy much wholesomeness in her life. Either way, at first, it's hard to get into the sexual details of the story, but she puts me at ease with a simple laugh and reminder of what she does for a living. No point in being coy or bashful in front of a prostitute. To be honest, sharing the details of my first time with Ranok, even though marred by what transpired immediately after, feels nice. Feels like the good type of bragging one does with his friends. In truth, telling any of all of this feels really good, almost as if I unload part of the burden. But now that my story's done, I simply hope from an outsider's perspective. So, that's pretty much it. I finished dipping my lips in my chalice. He strung me along all this way until he dropped the truth on me by accident. That is some serious entitlement issue you have, my boy. What? I mean, it's expected given your status, but still. Nothing I can't fix. Let me tame this shrew. First of all, do you pleasure yourself? What? I blurted out in shock, my face slowly matching the burgundy of the port. Oh, shut it, kid. You're talking to a whore. I don't see any relevance. Of course you don't. I'm sure you've never rubbed one out only to be suddenly hit with massive guilt. It's normal. She shrugs, her voice laid with pity. You have no idea how many guys I had to console immediately after they were done. Half of my sessions end with tears. Doesn't make it any better. It's worse, in fact. This sudden honesty comes from a post-orgasm feeling of guilt. You are really oversimplifying things, seeing the world in terms of black and white. The female scoffs, switching across legs and pouring herself the last part of the port from the bottle. Just because someone's nice to you doesn't mean they're sexually into you. Just because someone's sexually into you doesn't mean they're interested in you romantically. You're talking as if he owes you something, even though so far it seems you've been getting plenty enough care with nothing asked of you in turn. But he promised. And you honestly believe he never intended to keep that promise? She asked challengingly, raising one brow and forcing me to hang my head. Are you willing to sit here, look straight in my face and say it was all a lie? I closed my eyes, a frown taking over my expression. Maybe not. Maybe he did mean it once, but then he led me on. That's what you say, and truth be told, I've seen this over and over again. People ignoring the other person, who they are, what they want, what's important to them, just because in their little head they're the main character. Their life is a well-scripted play, the world a stage. Everyone and everything must bend to them. They are the only thing that matters, and everything that ever happens to them alone. Her harsh words cause me to wince. Realization floods my mind.
Worst day, he thinks he's the one who lost everything, where I was no better off. I was happy with him, and we could have been happy together.
I'm ignoring his pain, his suffering as if it didn't even exist. I've been doing that a lot as of late. That realization makes my heart drop to my stomach. I'm no better than Tano. I've been focusing only on myself. Of course you did. We all do. But there are times when we need to understand other people have their own feelings and priorities. You ignoring them for the sake of your wants is proof enough that you're not mature enough for a relationship. You see someone attractive and you think you'd want to be with them, and hey, they might even give you a time of their day. But the moment their priorities, the ones they always had and you yourself decide to ignore, crop up and take first place, as they ought to, suddenly you're being led on. That's not how the world works, honey. That's not how people work. And there it goes. A pit growing inside my stomach suddenly turned into a void ready to swallow me whole. I'm being chastised by a prostitute. Worse yet, she has a point. I'm not ready for a relationship, and neither is he. I'm lost, emotionally unstable, and very focused on any speck of happiness I can get in this miserable situation I've found myself in. I've been putting my own needs above those of others, but why the lies? Why pretending everything's fine when it actually isn't? Sparing the person you care for some pain isn't a slight.
It's an act of kindness, even if misguided. Brutal honesty is just that, brutal, enacted without care for your feelings or strength to bear it. Friends who hide behind brutal honesties don't look for a way to build you up, rather a means to knock you down. I guess. I sigh heavily, somewhat conceding to a point. It's not entirely like that. He just doesn't treat me like an equal, constantly admitting stuff as if I were a child. And have you asked yourself what you have done to warrant such treatment? She looks at me with a slightly taunting smile. Respect is earned, boy, not given. If you truly believe he's malicious, I have no idea why you're even having this conversation. But it seems you give him credit, which only means he's shielding you from the hard truths because he doesn't believe you can handle them. If that's the case, then that's on you to prove him wrong. And trust me, he will be glad for it. Why should I have to prove myself to someone who doesn't trust or respect me? I think that's going a bit too far. He does trust you and respects you, just not in everything, I'd imagine. Her expression goes cold as she raises one brow and I nod reluctantly. With a mindset like that, you'll end up hurt and alone, with no one else to blame but yourself. That sort of domineering behaviour will inevitably push everyone away. I know I wouldn't be able to deal with that. That's why I ran off. It's better to be a whore than someone's afterthought. A distant knocking draws our attention towards the corridor. And that would be me, she says, correcting her dressing, grabbing the empty chalices and bottle. Honestly, kid, if only everyone had a friend like yours to cry about, the world would be a happier place. You think I'm selfish? A little bit bratty, but given what happened to you, that's quite understandable and easy to forgive. If only you'd extend that courtesy to those around. A stranger saved your life, sheltered, clothed, and fed you at great personal risk, showing time and again nothing but kindness. I trust that person with my own life, as they've proven beyond any doubt to be good for it. Anything else is just you whining. But, see, your lips are moving and you're about to complain again. She winks, approaching the door, and decide to help her open it as her paws are full. As I'm about to turn the handle, I stop and look to her with one last thing I have to say. Thank you for listening and the good advice. Or anything to stop that ear-splitting sobbing. The female smirks teasingly. But in all seriousness, I'm happy I was able to help. What about you? Don't you need help? I ask, wondering if perhaps I could somehow repay her kindness. Are you willing to take care of this one for me? She nods teasingly towards the door. He's a big, well-endowed leopard, bit sloppy in bed, but a generous lover. I laugh uncomfortably and she flashes her brow. I thought so. Your lightheartedness is inspiring and surprising. Are you really happy? You mean happy being a whore? Yes, it's my choice. I have a roof over my head, food on my plate, and drink in my glass. I meet people, some quite interesting, I might add. She smiles widely and cannot help but blush at the veiled compliment. And I'm free. Free from my abusive family, free from forced marriage, free to travel and go wherever the wind blows. The fake morality this world tries to impose on us is just another form of prison, one meant for your mind and body. I don't intend to be a prisoner ever again, for as long as I live. Well said. I chuckle. I didn't expect this conversation to be this enlightening. You mean because I'm a whore? She mocks me, teasingly rolling her eyes and swirling the edge of her dress. That's when we both shudder slightly, the louder banging on the far-off door. I better go. He's getting impatient. Impatient customers tend to be less generous, both in coin and in bed. With that, I open the door and she steps outside, leaving me alone with quite a mindful to process. Oh, there you are, handsome. Oh, I'm sorry, I was just freshening up. Her voice echoes down the hallway. Fucking finally. I have an erection the size of my arm, woman. My, someone's quite eager. I won 3 silver against a die shop, then caved in his muzzle. I need to fuck now. I hear her chuckling as they disappear from the corner of the confines of her room. As open-minded as I try to be, I don't think I could stay here and listen to her orgasmic moans and groans while another horny male destroys her all over the room. Nope. So I hear the bed jump with a loud thud. I decide to leave for the main hall and await Ranok's return there. I descend the rickety stairs towards the main hall and greeted with only a few patrons scattered around the hall. It's well empty for obvious reasons. Only Sylph seems to be running the bar. I approach the counter trying to locate Ranok in hopes he's simmering here somewhere over some ale, but it seems he has left.
Did you see my companion? Asked the bunny with slight worry. She puts down a cloth with which she was cleaning some tankards.
Brody Wolf, you ordered moonshine and left to catch some air.
Is that safe?
Safe?
She blinks as if she didn't understand the question.
Is there any way the hulking beast wouldn't feel safe?
I can't help but chuckle at the remark, but still look towards concern. I guess, but you know what I mean.
Not really, no.
She smokes teasingly.
You have nothing to worry about, sugar. He'll be fine. We got night watch all over town. If anything, I'd be questioning what he's doing out this late.
Speaking of, what time would you say it is?
Well, I see out of the wolf, funny enough.
How long past midnight is that?
3 hours, give or take.
She shrugs. So it's 3 a.m. Maybe we should go after him?
An idea.
Girl shakes her head slowly, causing her ears to flop.
Half expect the guards to bring him back here for snooping around. Better you stay here if they do. Foreigners skulking around the streets at night aren't exactly a good look.
True. I muttered, slightly unnerved. Didn't even think about this. Oh God, what if he gets thrown in jail? Or worse, what if he decided simply to leave me here? Did he take the gold? I didn't pay attention.
He abandoned you.
Nope, no. That's not who Ranok is. He might be dumb and insensitive at times, but he'd not leave me here just like that. Besides, he asked me to collect myself, and that's what I should do.
Anything okay, sugar?
Shit, if the bunny's picked up my nerves, I must be really fucked. Yeah, just a bit anxious. Couldn't sleep well.
Oh, you're a nervous traveller.
I'm not a nervous traveller.
It's quite common for a nervous traveller to deny he's a nervous traveller. Luckily, it's something I can help you with. Lavender is...
No lavender! I blurted out in panic, causing the bunny to shudder. Last thing I need is another dream sequence. Sorry, I can't stand lavender. Makes me sick. I clumsily make up an excuse. Embarrassed that I startled her. She quickly dismisses it with a kind smile.
Oh, why do you say so? I noticed a thing. It sounded with a hint of gin.
She clasps her tiny paws and rushes off to the side door. She turns momentarily with a bubbling pot and a cup. I look inside and in some dried leaves she quickly soaks in boiling water. The floral scent hits my nose immediately.
Chamomile and valerian root. We brewed it a lot. When it cools, simply breathe it in.
She gesticulates towards her nose, and I do just that. In the meantime, she takes 2 small glasses and fills them up with a clear liquid. Once poured, she pushes one towards me. I look to her in confusion. What now?
Now we drink the gin.
She smiles tussily, clinking a glass with mine. Amused, I shake my head and down the shot. The gin is less smooth than the Everclear, but leaves a pleasant herbal aftertaste, almost as if one swallowed mouthwash.
One more for good measure.
The bunny fills the glasses once again and raises hers in a quick toast.
Yemas!
To us. I nod in cheerful agreement and down the gin go. I grimace slightly as initial novelty wore off. Indeed, this feels like chugging Listerine.
Takes some getting used to, but here.
She now finally nudges the steaming pot.
Should be good enough to sip now.
Thanks. I nod once more and allow her to return to her duties. She continues to clean up the silver and deposit of the drawers. I tried to drink the floral brew while it's still hot. It doesn't taste much of anything. There is some distinct leafy, nature-esque flavour to it, but otherwise it's just hot water. Despite all that, I do feel much calmer and relaxed now. Don't know how much time passes. Eventually I move to one of the tables, watching the room finally clear out. The last of these customers is being dragged off by his screaming wife, calling him a no-good labour and hitting him repeatedly with a folded apron, while the last man standing, rather small in stature airy youth, had to be chased out by Sylph. Look at the window, and although the sky is still dark, there's an undeniable subtle glow of twilight somewhere in the distance. I try not to worry, but it's hard not to with the passing of time. Well, there you are. I rise, seeing the wolf finally enter through the back door. Oh, what are you doing down here? Ranok blinks in surprise, stopping a few paces short of my table. I was waiting for you. I thought you might have gotten arrested. Oh, no such luck. This city is calmer than a name tree grove. I just needed some air. You feel any better? I should be asking you that. He scoffs in mild amusement, and I nod. True, I feel better now. Had some help. I jiggle the now empty cup in the wolf's eyes. Good.
I know this is all hard, and I don't want it to be harder than it needs to be.
Agreed.
I can't promise to take you back. My personal wants and feelings are not important. Your safety and that of my friends take priority.
He says in an uncertain voice, taking a few reluctant steps towards me, and I pat the table. I understand, even if I hate this decision with every part of my being.
That makes the two of us.
The wolf scoffs, taking his seat opposite me. Can you truly promise you will come back?
No.
He exhales heavily.
Between today and next year, there's so much that could happen. I could be dead, or injured, or imprisoned.
I frown at suggestions, but allow him to continue.
I thought my life was grounded, structured, and focused, where everything fell apart the moment I met you. I'm not saying you're the cause of it all, but it was like I was living in a bubble and your arrival burst it, opening my eyes to mayhem and peril lurking in every corner, not just for you, but for any of us. The first time in my life, I don't know what to do, or what's going to happen. All I can do is mitigate the damage that's already done.
Again he issues a strange sigh, and I'm struggling with the urge to comfort him. That's when his green, full of determination eyes drill into my very soul.
I don't know the future, but I can promise you this. As long as I'm able, I will look for a way to return to you. Not a single night will pass when I won't miss you, and the sheer idea of us reuniting one day will be all the hope I'll need to get through whatever comes.
I like you better like this, when you're honest. I smile, thinking of the conversation I had with our neighbour, deciding to lean onto her wisdom. And I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough to bear it before. Bet holding stuff up must have eaten at you.
Well, there's nothing I wouldn't do for my friends. I would lie, steal, kill, or cheat if I had to.
He shakes his head in dismissal and decides to butt in with a half-joke. You didn't steal for Tano.
Because I didn't have to.
The wolf states plainly.
We got to run off with a single coin, just as many other wolves did. Had this been his proposition all along, as I'd even fool myself into believing his intentions.
Why do you want to steal the gold, then?
I don't know, and I don't care.
Ranok pouts in slight annoyance.
If Tano was so desperate to get out of our village, if he hated our people so much and was done with his place in our tribe, what stopped him running off after we broke up?
He poses the question. I raise my brow.
His life is a living nightmare of his own making. What for is he enduring all of this?
Wait, what?
When we were together, all he could talk about is running off. But if I broke his heart, if I truly were the only string tying him down to our tribe, why did he stay? He didn't stay for the love of me, or to spite me, really.
I lean in closer, looking at him intently. Why did he stay, then? My a bit too eager question caused him to retreat slightly.
I don't want to talk about it. Not now. But I think it should be obvious that Tano's aim was never to abscond on his own, to make me run away with him. The more damage I would cause, the better. Pilfering my father's coffers, breaking my oaths, abandonning my birthright.
I don't understand. What for? I blink in confusion.
Well, it doesn't matter.
The wolf shakes his head in defeat.
Some wounds are really hard to revisit, especially when they're still festering. Tano's betrayal hurts more than I dare to admit. He betrayed my feelings, my trust, and my confidence, all because I told him no.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to prod. I mutter awkwardly, feeling guilty I actually made judgments about the situation I'm still not fully aware of.
Oh, it's fine. I'm just really done with that relationship, if I can even call it that. One of his schemes failed. Right now I'm sure he has another.
I think he has some sort of grand plan.
Tano always has a plan.
He sneers.
That wolf makes contingencies inside of plots hidden within schemes. He's always 2 steps ahead of everyone. I would admire him if I didn't fear him so.
You're not serious. I smile weakly, looking into his narrowed eyes with worry.
I wish I wasn't.
Tano's not malicious.
No, I never said he was.
He shrugs.
Malicious people are fools who act on impulse. Tano's calculated, coldly so.
He didn't do anything to hurt you, did he?
Aside from trying to unmask me as defective in front of the entire tribe? No. But I've never given him any reasons to. Our personal history is ours alone. He knows this. That's why I try to keep Vull and Verita out of it. Tano is exceptionally clever, and despite not realizing it, the tribe needs him, now more than ever. I nod in understanding. He really does care about his people more than about himself. He cares enough to ignore his personal wants and qualms. I feel so petty in comparison. I'm sorry I used your past with him against you. It was uncalled for. You confided in me, and I betrayed that trust. I'm not trying to make an excuse, and I hope you can forgive me. I just felt hurt. After our drunk confession, everything just happened so fast and took a turn I just didn't expect.
It's fine, Caelan,
he says tenderly, using the pet name he gave me and ruffling my hair. For some reason that nickname makes me feel safe and warm. It feels mine, my own. Utterly removed from anything that came before.
We're both fucked up. I should have been more open about things from the start. But it doesn't come easy.
At least I can understand why.
For what it's worth, I really do care about you. Andy, I love you.
Don't worry about it. I shake my head softly in dismissal. I don't think we should revisit confessions made in the heat of a moment. You found me in quite the ordained way during a crucial juncture in your life. Now you came back from battle, facing potential death. Obviously, investment in me will exceed anything rational, and I cringe slightly. I'm devoid of any memories or direction in life, with the only constant to ground me being you. My devotion, even if foolish, comes from necessity. I don't have any other choice. It's as if fate forces us together.
And you don't like that?
He concludes in a solemn tone. I tilt my head. Not necessarily. I just don't enjoy thinking that all of this is orchestrated and not really resulting from our own choices. Would you even find me remotely interesting that we met in a tavern? Would I be so lenient if you weren't my only guardian?
I see where you're coming from. Those same questions bothered me over and over again when it came to Tano.
Oh? I looked at him with curiosity, hoping he'd elaborate. The wolf sighed reluctantly.
I really don't want to get into all that again. There's too much to unpack there. But know this. With Tano, I always felt deep down there's an ulterior motive. With you all my instincts simply shut down.
And that's good?
No, not really. But for someone like me, who has his guard up all his life, who's always on high alert, letting yourself get completely lost is refreshing, liberating even, as silly as it sounds.
I smile, blushing slightly at this revelation. I don't want to dwell on it too much. There's more important stuff to worry about. I look towards the brightening skies. I think we should head out and salvage what's left of this night.
We better. There's a lot of things we need to get sorted today.
He nods in agreement. Shall we start at dawn then?
We don't need to get up that early. Might as well not sleep at all. Well, we shouldn't tarry beyond the second hour.
Good. Sylph? I look towards the bunny who's been clearing at the last bits of cutlery left by the guests. Yes, sugar? Can we please be woken up at the second hour? Sure thing, sugar. She nods happily as we get up. I'll pass it on to the boss. Oh, thanks. I bow to her in gratitude and bid Ranok upstairs. Come, let's get some sleep. And that is where we leave this episode. Far Beyond the World. So what will happen next time in Strandbard? Well, how will we beat the magistrate? We'll find out next time. And next on the channel during the week will be Beyond the Harbour R. That's going to be our midweek video. And on the weekend, we'll be returning some more Liar. So that's things to look forward to on Channel of Likelihood. Before I turn more into a BBC continuity announcer, let me just say thanks to all my patrons and donors on Ko-fi. I very much appreciate all of you, especially these days with how things are going. And my top patrons are Burnt Toast, Kartek, Govers Visser, Besuksu, Lark Huskerton, Bastian, Ryan Hall, Gunnar Muller, Tiger Cub, Ida Corval, Anubis Silverwind, Brandon Bradford, Dissonance, Grizz, Spiderling, Kopi, Sindri Dragowolf, Marcus, Evan King, and Monolith. And all the description, all the stuff, or the Patreon I should say, is in the description, both for my Patreon and also Kale's if you want to support Far Beyond the World. Also I'll put the link in the description so you can download it for yourself. But that is most definitely it for this one.
Until next time, bye for now.